Naruto God Level System, Chapter 741 to 760. Chapter 741 Evolution Above the End. After Aizen evolved again, it has lost the characteristics of the God of Death. The appearance is the same as the virtual, the face has turned black, there are 3 holes in the upper body, and a skeleton grows on the ridge of each huge butterfly wing. Isn't it human who has evolved? Chen looked at Aizen and said. Now is the final fusion stage, and Aizen's Reiatsu, speed, defense, and recovery are far stronger than the previous stage. And this time he has a real body of immortality, even if he is completely beaten to ashes, he can still be resurrected. This is also the final fusion state in the original work. I don't know if Aizen can complete the evolution again on the basis of this state. Radiant Break. A skeleton on a wing ridge spit out ultra-high-density spiritual pressure bullets and attacked Chen from a long distance, with the power to destroy a city with one shot. Momo 100 times laser. Chen stretched out a hand and released a golden light, Jinchuriki column. The laser beam of the glittering fruit was already very fast, but using the Momo fruit to double the power was unimaginable. The light that was originally thick with one finger suddenly increased by 100 times, and its speed was also accelerated by 100 times, and hit Aizen's body with a bang. Aizen just disappeared without a trace in an instant, and his body was completely melted by the high-temperature photons. Fortunately, Aizen has an immortal body, and because of the existence of an immortal body, he was not killed. It seems that after Aizen has evolved, it's not an opponent. Urahara Kazuki said with a sigh of relief. Is this guy Chen a monster? I can't feel his momentum at all, I really don't know how strong he is. Jingle Chunshui shook his head. Aizen, your strength is still not enough to see, do you want to evolve again? What the hell have you become now? It's so ugly. Chen Tukao said that the current Aizen looks really ugly, and it is estimated that there is no uglier existence than him in the virtual world. Do you think I still care about my appearance now? Aizen, who had just recovered, said indifferently. For Aizen, appearance is not important, what is important is strength, the ability to defeat Hyuga Chen. Ultimate Radiation Break. 6 Paths Susanoo. Boom. A powerful airflow blew over, the space oscillated, and cracks appeared. Chen used Susanoo to block Aizen's attack, but the captains in the distance were unlucky. Although they were standing far away, the power was too great, and they were all involved. Whoosh tilde. With a swish sound, Aizen appeared and disappeared from the figure, appearing behind Chen, and the knife in his right hand slashed towards Chen. Clang tilde. Attacks simply cannot break through Susanoo's defenses. Chen glanced back, and then released 6 Paths Susanoo, because although Susanoo destructive power is large, but the speed is flawed. At Aizen's current speed, Susanoo couldn't pose any threat to him at all. Aizen's heart was overjoyed when he saw Chen disarm Susanoo. Originally, he had a headache for Susanoo's defense. Unexpectedly, Chen actually took the initiative to lift Susanoo. Pulled out the snow-white Zanpakuto from his waist and slashed at Aizen. Scoff tilde. A huge wound was cut open on his chest, and Aizen fell from the sky like a bird with broken wings. Aizen's wounds could not heal for a long time, even if he had an immortal body, he still couldn't heal. Chen's Zanpakuto does not have Shikai, it also has some characteristics of Shikai, which can permanently damage the parts that are cut. In other words, if you were hit by Chen's Spear of Destruction, then don't think about healing, the injury will stay forever. Lan Ran glanced at her wound, and looked at Chen with even more fearful eyes. I thought that I could easily defeat you after getting the Bengyu, but now it seems that there is still a gap. Aizen said. It's good to have self-knowledge. Chen Conqueror's Haki released. The powerful Conqueror's Haki oppressed Aizen, the sky was torn apart by the powerful momentum, and the oppressed Aizen felt his body sink. This kind of terrifying pressure. Yukataki Shuru was half knelt on the ground, resisting this terrifying pressure. Those of the Masked Legion who were hit hard were now unable to resist and fainted. Even the old man Yamamoto was under the pressure of Conqueror's Haki, His face was tight, and he was fully resisting this terrifying pressure. This is the pressure on the mind, the pressure from the superior to the inferior, and Aizen, who is in front of Chen, bears the most. Damn, Aizen's ugly face changed wildly, and he couldn't even resist the aura released by Hyuga-chan. For a while, Aizen had doubts about himself. Armed color hardened. Chen punched the stunned Lan Ran with a fist, and the invincible fist hit Lan Ran's chest. All his bones were shattered. Aizen turned into a ball of ooze and lay down on the ground, realizing what it means to be powerless. Since you're like this, I won't torture you anymore, I'll take the collapsed jade. Chen looked at Aizen on the ground. Hearing that Chen was going to take Bengyu, Lan Ran went crazy all of a sudden. Bengyu was his biggest support, and he had no choice but to die when Bengyu was taken away. Even if he survives, he will be imprisoned in Wujian in the end, and it is impossible to release him in Wujian on his charge. How could Aizen allow it? But Chen's power made Aizen feel despair, and the invincible power made him unable to resist. In desperation, Bengyu actually responded to Aizen again. Aizen was wrapped in milky white Reiatsu and began to evolve again. Now Aizen is the final form in the original work, and now Aizen has evolved again, which has surpassed the original work. This guy has actually evolved again. Really, why is he talking so much with Aizen? Jingle Chunshui expressed that he was anxious. If Chen was a little more happy, then Aizen would have ended a long time ago. No, I couldn't help it anymore and shot at Aizen who was wrapped in it. Jingle Chunshui shouted. The venerable hand that cannot touch the darkness, the archer of the sky that cannot be reflected, the path of brilliance is scattered, the wind of fire is incited, there is no need to be confused when we gather and gather, follow my instructions, light bullets, 8 bodies, 9 articles, the scriptures. Jibao Big Wheel, the gray turret, draws its bow to the distance, and dissipates brightly, breaking the road, and 91 Senju Jiaoshan eliminates the artillery. Senju Kyoten, who is chanting with all his might by Jingle Chunshui, hit Aizen. Boom! Several rays of light hit Aizen, who was being wrapped in Reiatsu, and a big explosion occurred. However, the power of the explosion was not able to hurt Aizen. No, I can't break the defense. Jingle Chunshui said with an ugly face. Number 91, who was chanting with all his strength, broke the road. This was already his strongest attack, but he still couldn't break the defensive shell formed by Reiatsu, very weak. Chen looked at the evolution of Aizen, and didn't mean to take action. In fact, if Chen took action, he could stop Aizen, but Chen didn't want to. Chapter 742 Still Being Beaten. Is this evolution so slow? If you haven't finished evolving, I'm about to take action. I don't have so much time to play with you. Chen couldn't help saying. He wanted to see what Aizen would evolve into again, but that didn't mean Chen could wait endlessly. 10 minutes have passed, and Aizen still hasn't moved at all. Could it be that the evolution failed and died? Aizen still has breath, and should not be dead yet, but the evolution of this girl is too slow, and Chengdu wants to directly beat him to death. Just when Chen complained that Aizen's evolution was too slow, Aizen's evolution was finally completed, and the Reiatsu shell that wrapped Aizen had cracked, revealing Aizen inside. At this time, Aizen was no longer the ugly and indifferent appearance, but changed to the appearance when he was the captain of the 5th Division. Compared with before, there was only one more piece of collapsing jade. Collapsing jade was inlaid in Aizen's heart, and the flickering light showed the extraordinariness of this gem. The imposing spiritual pressure on Aizen's body did not leak in the slightest, just like an ordinary person, but the level of danger was much stronger than before. At this time, Aizen's strength will definitely not be lower than Chen, who has just entered the world of death, and his strength has surpassed everyone in the world of death. When Yuhabok saw Aizen at this time, he could only run away with his tail tucked. However, in the face of Chen, it is not enough to see. After Chen got Bengyu, his strength was breaking the limit every day, and his strength was doubled from when he first entered the world of death. So the current Aizen is still not enough to see in front of Chen, which is why Chen dares to let Aizen evolve without interrupting. because he is confident that he can handle Aizen. This is the real power. Aizen was intoxicated with the power and couldn't extricate herself. The previous evolution added up, and it is completely incomparable to this time's evolutionary leap. Aizen now feels that there is nothing in this world that can be his opponent, and even the legendary Spirit King, there is absolutely no way to compare with him. I'll let you see now, the power that I have evolved again. I really need to thank you. Aizen grinned. If it wasn't for Hyuga Chen being too strong, he wouldn't be forced to evolve again, and he wouldn't be as powerful as he is now. Ha, Tilda, do you think you're strong now? You're just a frog in the bottom of a well. Chen gave Aizen a mocking smile. Aizen has indeed become stronger, but if he thinks that he can compete with himself now, it is a big mistake. Chen will tell Aizen with the facts that he is still far behind. The disdainful smile on Chen's face made Aizen very uncomfortable. It seems that Hyuga Chen has no idea of his current strength. Aizen, so you really think that he is still as vulnerable as before? If he had crossed the boundary of the god of death before, then Aizen had already crossed the boundary of the god. Now Aizen feels that with his own strength, he can become a real god, and if he can pull down the Spirit King, how does the Spirit King deserve to be called the Lord of the Three Realms? However, Aizen did not know that the Spirit King had already died at this time. Now, I'll show you my strength. Aizen smiled confidently. Shunbu approached Chen. Like teleportation, the old man Yamamoto who was observing from a distance did not see Aizen's movement estimate at all, as if he was using the space ability. However, this is not, it is just that the speed of Aizen is too fast. It's really fast, but that's not enough. Chen grabbed Aizen's fist with one hand. What? Aizen was shocked, he had become so powerful. Hyuga Chen was still able to catch his speed and grab his fist. 80 Gods Vacuum Attack. Chen threw the shocked Aizen out, and then used the 80 Gods Vacuum Attack at Aizen, and countless huge vacuum fists hit Aizen's body. Every punch is a surefire blow, and every punch can cause serious damage to Aizen's body. Aizen's body was twisted, and there was a huge knife wound on his chest. This stab wound was left by Zentatsu with the Zanpakuto Destruction Spear, and even after Aizen evolves, this wound cannot be healed. Go back, Yamamoto shouted loudly. The aftermath of the vibration made the old man Yamamoto surging with blood, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Shuru Yukitaki fell to the ground in a coma. Originally, his physique was not good, but now he received the shock and injured his internal organs, so he fell into a coma. Yukitaki, are you alright? Jingle Chunshui wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and immediately helped Yuzu Shuru up. Retreat first and back 0 inches. Hitsugaya Toshiro helped Kyoraku Chunsui to support Yukitaki Shuru and retreated to the rear. As the protagonist of this world, Ichigo Kurosaki can only retreat together, because he has not experienced so many things, although Ichigo Kurosaki has encountered less danger, but he has not been able to grow up. Failure to grow up means weak strength, and can only stand here and play Chan Oil. No, I can't even hit the Chan Oil now, so I can only follow back, and my qualifications to watch the battle have been lost. In fact, even if Kurosaki Ichigo opens up and uses the last Moon Kiba Tianchong, he is still not the opponent of Aizen now. Aizen, I can only send you a weak word. Chen stood in the sky, looking down at Aizen lying on the ground. Cough cough tilde. Lan Ran coughed twice, feeling a blow in her heart. Every time he thought he was going to be invincible, Chen would give him a blow to the head, causing Aizen to feel dizzy. Why has he evolved into the realm of gods, and is still being hanged and beaten? Blue Dai was very unconvinced in his heart. Wang Shu's flash. Aizen got up, his injuries recovered quickly, and Shang Chen used Shu's unique big move. Wang Shu's flash is not something that ordinary Shu can release, only Vastord has the ability to use it. Of course, the flash of Wang Shu released by Aizen was much more powerful than Vastord. I didn't expect you to be able to use virtual moves now. Chen gave Aizen a surprised look. But this move has no effect on me, reflex. The vector operation reflected Wang Shu's flashback, and let Aizen taste the moves he released. Chibaku Tensai, heavenly body bursting from the earth. Chen threw a few black spheres in his hand, and the strong gravitational force sucked the gravel into the sky, and Aizen's body was also pulled by the strong gravitational force. Although I don't know what this black ball is, Aizen knows that it's not a good thing, and definitely can't be pulled up. Continue to release Wang Shu's flash, destroying all these spheres. Sure enough, Chibaku Tensai, heavenly body bursting from the earth, looks powerful, but it's actually a waste. It's not very useful to deal with powerful characters, Chen said, looking at the destroyed black gravitational sphere. 6 tabs Chibaku Tensai, heavenly body bursting from the earth, is powerful. As for Chibaku Tensai, heavenly body bursting from the earth, it is completely useless, but it will be very effective against people with poor strength. Chapter 743 Aizen's Death. Aizen was holding Zanpakuto, his eyes were incomparably piercing, and there was an astonishing chill above the blade. Unlike Aizen, Chen looked at Aizen with a nonchalant look, as if he didn't take Aizen to heart at all. Broken down 90 black coffin. The black cube appeared out of thin air, and then closed Chen in, completely cutting the blade towards Chen, but these swords shattered before they touched Chen. He clenched his fist and punched it forward. The ability to shake the fruit was activated, the air made a tearing sound, and the space shattered. Click. The black cube was completely shattered, and the vibrating force continued to bombard Aizen. In the face of the bombardment of Aizen, there is no way to use a million shields to block it. The shield formed by the spiritual power shattered layer by layer, and Aizen couldn't help spitting out a mouthful of blood. There were no scars on the surface of the body, but all the inside of the body was shattered. Aizen was half kneeling on the ground, and her body began to slowly repair. At this time, even if Aizen's body was destroyed, it could be resurrected and reach the realm of immortality. Futon, wind style, Rasen Shuriken. A huge shuriken appeared in Shi Chen's hand, and a strong wind blade was entangled around him. Then, with a wave of Zaichen, the shuriken flew towards Aizen. Bound Road 81, breaking the space. A transparent barrier appeared in front of Aizen, blocking Rasen Shuriken, preventing it from breaking through the barrier. Not bad. You can actually block it. It seems that I want to look at you a little more. Chen glanced at Aizen with admiration. But Aizen felt very unhappy. This kind of look was like a senior looking at a junior, which made Aizen, whose heart was higher than the sky, very uncomfortable. Broken. Kyoka Suzuki. Aizen liberated her Zanpakuto again. Originally, after Aizen gained the power of Bengyu, Zanpakuto no longer looked down on him. Zanpakuto was just an ordinary weapon in Aizen's hands. Now Aizen picks up Zanpakuto again to see if he can rely on Zanpakuto's ability to deal with Chen. But for Chen, his Zanpakuto really has no effect, and it is impossible to hypnotize himself. Destroy it. The Spear of Destruction. The pure white blade in Chen's hand turned into a jet black spear, and the spear was wrapped in traces of the aura of destruction. Aizen, you're likely to die next. Chen waved the gun of destruction in his hand, and a blast of chi flew out, leaving a bottomless ravine on the ground. Aizen's eyes sank, and she looked at Chen vigilantly. With a single wave, it caused super destructive power. This Aizen couldn't do it. He stepped on the ground, quickly approaching Aizen, and then stabbed Aizen's shoulder with a shot. Because the speed was too fast, even Aizen couldn't catch it, so he could only rely on instinct to block the knife in front of him, but Zanpakuto Kyoka Suzuki shattered as soon as he touched the gun of destruction. Zanpakuto with only one hilt in his hand. Looks like Aizen still can't beat Hyuga Chen. If that's the case, I'm relieved. Jingle Chunshui was relieved to see Aizen retreating quickly. Don't say more, the power between the two of them is a bit strong, let's step back. Hirako Mako said. Yo tilde, Captain Hirako, you have recovered. Yeah, after being framed by that guy Aizen and causing the blur, my recovery ability has been enhanced by an unknown amount. Hirako Mako said. Boom. Aizen smashed a big crater like a meteorite impact, and the left arm has disappeared, and it can't be recovered at all. The severe pain from the wound made Aizen feel like he wanted to die, but he couldn't really die. When you see the spear flying over, use the swivel to avoid it. Aizen can now use all of Nether's abilities, including Steelskin's ability to increase his defense. However, in front of the gun of destruction, the blue-dyed Steelskin will be broken with a single stab, without any effect. Aizen had just avoided it, and he was not relieved yet. A big hand suddenly passed behind him, and then held the Bengu in his heart. Aizen's eyes widened, and her body seemed to be stiff, unable to make any movements at all. Your collapse, Jade, I will accept it. Chen said lightly. Damn, return my Bengu. Lan Ran tried her best and punched behind her. However, his punch was directly empty, and he didn't hit Chen. Chen holds the crystal clear Bengu in his hand, while Lan Ran's eyes are fixed on Bengu, trying to take it back. In fact, after Bengu left, Aizen's strength did not decline in the slightest, and the strength enhanced by Bengu has now become Aizen's own. Thank you for creating Bengu, Chen said with a smile on his face. In order to thank you, how about I send you to die now? Is there a feeling of excitement? Excited, of course I'm very excited, I'm excited to kill you. Aizen looked at Chen indifferently. Tisk tisk, you're so indifferent, don't you want to see the king spirit? I'm just sending you to see the king spirit now, don't worry if you're not happy, but you're still so indifferent, alas. Chen shook his head and sighed. Lan Ran frowned and asked, what do you mean? Could it be that the king spirit is dead? That's it. Go ask yourself. Chen didn't mean to answer. Let everything be nothing. The blade of nothingness. Chen used Bankai. After Chen Bankai, Aizen felt a fatal crisis, which made him want to turn around and run away, but unfortunately he had nowhere to escape. Return to ruins. Chen slashed towards Aizen with a sword, and a sword pressed towards Aizen, and all objects turned into nothingness. Aizen's body was locked and could not escape at all. After being hit by the sword pressure, the body disappeared in the blink of an eye. With just such a knife, Aizen was killed, and not even the scum was left. After Aizen died, Chen released Bankai, holding Bengu with a smile on his face. He wanted Bengu for a long time, and now Bengu finally got it. Aizen seems to have been killed. Hitsugaya Tushiro said. It's a really powerful sword. If you have the chance, you must ask Hyuga-chen to learn from it. Zaragi Kenpachi said. Kuchiki Byakuya cast a glance at Zakagi Kenpachi. Did he want to die? It's not that Byakuya Kuchiki looks down on Kenpachi, but he knows that the difference in strength is too far. If Hyuga-chen wants to kill Kenpachi, he probably won't even need to use a knife, and he can kill Kenpachi with momentum. Aizen is finally dead, and I finally let out a breath. Hirako Mako said. This breath in my heart has been held back for more than 100 years. Now that I see Aizen dead, that stagnant air is released. How is it? Do you want to go back to the Soul Realm? Jingo Chunshui asked Hirako Mako. Hirako Mako was silent for a while, and then said, think about it and talk about it. The latest Filu Tianbang Popular Books plus full group files plus 10,000 online disc resources plus 800 new books per month. And the Hedgehog Cat book. This book is only for communication and learning, and the copyright belongs to the original author and publisher. If you like it, please support the genuine version. Chapter 744 The Saddest Fullbring Organization Ever. After Aizen died, Chen took all of them out of that space. The old man Yamamoto looked at Chen, mainly at the Bengu in Chen's hand. Thinking of Aizen's continuous evolution and transformation because of the collapsing jade, the old man Yamamoto felt that the collapsing jade was very dangerous, and it was better to destroy it. Captain Hyuga, can you hand over the Bengu in your hand? The old man Yamamoto asked Chen. Chen Wenyan felt unhappy all of a sudden. Damn it, old man Yamamoto still wants my Bengu. This is my trophy, how can I hand over something that I have waited for so long to get? Don't think about Bengu, this is my thing, if you want it, develop and manufacture it yourself. This thing is very dangerous, and it is a scourge to keep it. The old man Yamamoto frowned and said. Thinking that Benyu can make Aizen's strength form a dimensional leap in a short period of time, the old man Yamamoto felt that Benyu was dangerous. Really? But don't you think that I'm also very dangerous? Chen cast a glance at the old man Yamamoto, then turned to leave. In fact, that's right. The most dangerous thing is Chen. After all, Aizen with Benyu was easily crushed to death. Old man, don't think about Benyu. I don't think it's a bad thing for Benyu to fall into his hands. Jingle Chunshui said. Benyu has super hardness. It is very difficult to destroy it. If it could be destroyed, I would have already destroyed it. Urahara Kazuki walked over and said. In fact, in the eyes of Urahara Kazuki and the others, it doesn't matter if the collapsed jade falls into Chen's hands, at least no one can take it away from him. Anyway, Urahara Kazuki doesn't think that anyone can snatch Benyu from him. Humph. The old man Yamamoto snorted coldly as he looked at Urahara Kazuki. If this guy hadn't researched the collapsed jade, there would not have been so many things. But this time it was fine for old man Yamamoto, at least this time old man Yamamoto didn't sacrifice an arm. What are you going to do? Continue to stay in this world or return to the Soul Realm to continue to be the captain? The old man Yamamoto turned to look at Hirako Mako and the others. Hirako Mako and the others looked at each other, thinking about it in their hearts. What else are you thinking about? Are you afraid that the Shinigami team members of Seraiti will have an opinion on you? You don't need to worry about this at all, old man Yamamoto will solve it. Jingle Chunshui patted their shoulders and said. Okay, let's go back to the Soul Realm with us. After thinking about it, Hirako Mako and the others decided to return to the Soul Realm. Because in the present world, they can't integrate into it, and it is best to return to the Soul World. Hirako Mako and the others returned to the Soul Realm. Jingle Chunshui and Yukitaki Shuru and the others were very happy. After all, their relationship was not bad at the beginning. Chen returned to the 4th Division, and Ujawali and the others came out immediately. This is the Benyu. Yi took it curiously and looked at the blue-purple gem. Apart from being pretty, I don't see anything special at all. Yi threw Benyu on the table with a dull expression. Yi, if you break the Benyu, it is estimated that Chen will take care of you so that you won't be able to get out of bed for a few days. Maoji Walai patted Yi on the shoulder and said. Yi heard the words and quickly picked up the Benyu to check if it was broken. Don't worry, Benyu is not that fragile yet. Chen shook his head and said. Collapsing jade can be said to be the hardest thing in the world, and it is easier said than done to break it. This thing is also a toy for me. Bachinliu glanced at Benyu. You'd better find something else to use as a toy, Chen said, knocking Bachinliu's head. Taking Benyu as a toy, Chen is not so extravagant. By the way, why didn't you see Chong? Chen asked strangely. Xiaochong went to the world to surf the internet. Bachinliu replied. All right, it's not surprising that Chong, an internet addict girl, went online. After Aizen died, everything calmed down, and Seraiti returned as usual, and the people of the masked army also returned to Seraiti. Chen has nothing to do, sits quietly in the 4th Division team building to drink tea, or go to the world for a stroll. Chong, have you come back from this world? Chen heard the sound of pushing the door and raised his head to look at Chong who walked in. There was a guy named Silver City Congo who wanted to capture me, but I killed him. Chong said to Chen. Silver Castle Congo, the head of the Fullbend organization. Chen was stunned, then remembered who Silver Castle Congo was. I don't know, I only know that the guy brought people into the house, and then I killed them all. Chong nodded. It's just a little bastard, just kill him. You still need to report to me. Chen stood up and stretched. I'm just talking to you. Chong Pipi sat beside Chen. But what is he going to arrest you for? Chen asked curiously. I don't know, he just reported to his family that his name was Silver City Congo, and he wanted to invite me as a guest, and then I killed him. Chong shook his head and said. Is that so? That guy is really pitiful, poor unlucky bastard. Chen said with a chuckle. This is completely because this guy killed himself. Chang's strength is super strong, even old man Yamamoto may not be Chang's opponent. Silver City Kongo's strength is good, maybe even stronger than Captain Death, but facing Chang, he only has the share of courting death. I also killed all of his subordinates. Chang added. Although I don't know why they didn't go to Kurosaki Ichigo, but instead stared at you, but this is also a group of people who are unlucky and sad. It's really sad. In the original book, the full-blooming ability person who was engaged in wind and rain was killed by Chang like this, and there was no storm at all. However, these were originally small characters. Although Chen knew of their existence, he did not intend to pay attention to them. Among all the organizational forces in the world of Death God, those with full display ability are the weakest. The strongest should be the Invisible Empire, but the Invisible Empire has been destroyed by Chen, and it no longer exists. The rest should be Seoringe and the Broken Army Corps, and the Broken Army was also eliminated, and now Seoringe is the only powerful force left. However, in the Invisible Empire, there is another Yhwach, although he is the only one left, but Yhwach will definitely be in trouble. I don't know where this guy was sealed. If he knew, Chen wouldn't mind going over and giving him a knife and hacking him to death. In fact, if Chen really wanted to find him, he could also find the location of Yhwach, but Chen was not interested in finding him. I believe that Yhwach will jump out soon after, and it will not be too late for Chen to come back to him after he jumps out. As for the reason why Chen looked for Yhwach, of course, it was for the ability of his Quincy. Although Chen and Candace, Bombietta, and Menina learned some Quincy moves, some of them couldn't, so Chen took aim at Yhwach. As the ancestor of the Quincy, Yhwach should have all the abilities of the Quincy. Chen wants to obtain the various abilities of the Quincy Master not to enhance his strength, but just to want more abilities, and the skills are not overwhelming. Chapter 745 Kuchiki Silver Bell was beaten. Chang, you actually came back from this world, it's really rare. Hikun Kiryu said looking at Chang. Since Chen opened the 4th division and the space channel of the world, Chang spent most of his time in the manner of the world playing with the computer. It's really weird. Matsumoto Ranju walked in closely behind her, and behind her were Hina Momo, Rukia, Harabelle, and Nailu. What are you doing here together? Are you here to help me with my office? Without saying a word, Chen handed over the documents on the table to them. Where's Karatsu Uno? Isn't she in charge of these things? Kiryu Hazun asked strangely. Cough cough tilde. Mao Zhawali is a little uncomfortable. Chen said with a light cough. In fact, it's not just Ujawali who is uncomfortable, Yaiki and Shuibe are uncomfortable now. Yushu Kiryu wondered for a moment, and then she understood it in seconds. As for what she understood, only she knew it. I have something to tell you, Kuchiki Silver Suzu was beaten. Kiryu Hazun talked about other things. Silver Kuchiki was beaten. Chen was a little surprised, who had the guts to beat the old fellow Kuchiki Silverling. Yeah, it was Bombietta and Candace. Now Shutara Senjumaru has been dealt with. You should go and have a look now. Kiryu Hibun said. Bombietta and Candace hit Deadwood Silver Bell. Why? Chen couldn't understand the situation. Kuchiki Silver Suzu been staying at home since he retired. How can I be beaten? Could it be that Bombietta and Candace went to Kuchiki's house and beat him? We don't know about this either, but someone came to inform us, and then we came to you. Shutara Senjumaru went over to take a look first. Hibun Kiryu said with a sigh of relief. Then I'll go over and take a look. The work on the table will be handed over to you, Luanju. I trust you, Luanju. Chen solemnly patted the shoulder of Luanju. Luanju couldn't help complaining. Every time you have something to do with me, you say you trust me. Chaiju has not heard this sentence once or twice, and is already immune. This is exercising your talent, don't complain. After Chen finished speaking, he used Shunpo to leave. Little young Forest, come and help me. Luanju said while holding the hand of young Sendao. I don't know if it was because of the long stay with Chen. Matsumoto Ranju was also lazy and let him do all the work alone. Of course she didn't want to. So poor little Peach was caught. And the helpful young Mori Dao did not refuse. What's the situation? Chen couldn't help asking, looking at the deadwood silverling with a blue nose and a swollen face, and then looking at the group of people standing beside him. Master. After seeing Chen coming, Bombietta, Candace, and Menina were restrained, embarrassed on their faces. Bachenliu is also here. Originally, Bachenliu came out to play, and Bambietta and the others came to follow. Shutara Senjumaru came to Chen's side and explained the general situation. After speaking, Chen felt a little dumbfounded. In fact, the reason is very simple. It was completely because the deadwood silver bell came out and blocked the road. Bombietta and Candace were naturally welcome. Although in front of Chen, they showed the appearance of a well-behaved little maid, but in front of outsiders it was different. Unceremoniously, he kicked Kuchiki Silverbell away, and then Kuchiki Silverbell could easily uncover this matter. His old man was interested today and went out for a walk. How could he not be angry when he encountered such a thing? The previous head of the dignified Kuchiki family, the veteran of Seo Lingting, was kicked away. How could he bear this kind of anger? So naturally a conflict occurred, and Bombietta and Candace hit the deadwood silver bell, but Menina couldn't stop it. As for Bachenliu, she was just cheering for fear that she wasn't chaotic enough, so Bambietta and Candace fought even more vigorously. So that's what happened. I also understand what happened. Kuchiki Silverling, that's what you were wrong. Chen said to Kuchiki Silverling. At this time, no matter what, you have to protect your own people. What's more, his relationship with Kuchiki Silver Suzu was not good in the first place. Now, seeing his bruised nose and face, I feel very relieved. Kuchiki Silver's chirping 7 apertures are smoking. Obviously I was beaten, but now it's me who is wrong. Captain Hyuga, don't go too far. Byakuya Kuchiki said coldly. Kuchiki Silver Bell was beaten. How could Kuchiki Byakuya not come as his grandson? If it weren't for Shutara Senjumaru, and the other captains of each division, Kuchiki Byakuya might have started. However, hands-on is not an opponent. Bambietta and the 3 of them are more powerful than Kuchiki Byakuya. Excessive, how did I go too far? He is a lot of age, and he has nothing to do to wander around. Wouldn't it be better to stay at home? He deserves to be beaten. Chen Man said unreasonably. Ah, Captain Chen, you have to be reasonable in your actions. Now that the owner of the deadwood is injured, you can let them apologize. Jingle Chunchui came out to be a peacemaker. Hey, Jingle Chunchui, you don't know it. I've always been unreasonable when I do things. To be reasonable, this time they were unreasonable, and Chen also talked nonsense. It is impossible to apologize. It is impossible to apologize in this life. Silver Kuchiki, you are also a veteran. It's not a shame to be beaten by a few girls. I think you should go home and rest. Anyway, the injury is not serious. Chen said to Silver Ling Kuchiki. No, Hyuga Chen, do you think this old man is so easy to bully? Kuchiki Silver Ling said angrily. In the final analysis, for the sake of face, the beaten deadwood Silverling couldn't come down the stage, and Chen still didn't let him go down the steps. Silver Kuchiki, you have lived for so long, and you should know that the strong side will not apologize to the weak side, so you should stay where you are cool. What's more, you are too weak to be beaten, and you have the face to make a noise here. I really feel ashamed for you. Chen sneered. Lord Shutara Senjumaru, what should I do with this? Shuru Yukitaki looked at Shutara Senjumaru. Shutara Senjumaru is a member of Team Zero. Although she doesn't know how she got along with Chen, her words still carry a lot of weight. Of course Kuchiki Silverling apologized, but I can't beat the 2 little girls at my age. Is it still reasonable? Shutara Senjumaru favored Bambietta and the others. After all, they were a group. I'll replace my grandfather and challenge the 2 of you. Captain Hyuga, are you okay? Kuchiki Byakuya said coldly. You want to challenge the two of them? Chen glanced at Kuchiki Byakuya in surprise. Could it be that he is so confident? After this battle, all grievances have been written off. Kuchiki Byakuya continued. Okay, I agree. Chen nodded. Anyway, Kuchiki Byakuya couldn't beat Bambietta and Candace. Chapter 746 Candace vs Byakuya Kuchiki. Are you going to fight? Bachinliu looked at the tension in the atmosphere, his eyes twinkled, and an excited expression appeared on his face. What are you excited about, little girl? Chen clenched his fist and hit Bachinliu's head with a fist. A big bag appeared on Bachinliu's head, and her tears were left in pain, and she looked at Chen angrily. There's still a face to be angry, wasn't it you who were picking things up before? It's impossible for Candace to kick the deadwood silver bell away because it blocks her way. Chen feels that there are definitely Bachinliu deliberately picking things up. He knows Bachinliu, and he is afraid that the world will not be chaotic. Bachinliu stuck out her tongue when she heard the words. In fact, she just told Candace that she was unhappy with seeing the old man, Silver Suzu, and Candace kicked Silver Suzu away with a violent kick. There is a reason why Bachinliu was unhappy with Kuchiki Silver Bell. Back then, Kuchiki Silver Bell didn't make much trouble, but Bachinliu remembered it. Master, I don't need two people at all, I can solve him myself. Candace looked at Kuchiki Byakuya with disdain. Let me come, I'm sure I'll make him die, said Bambietta. Kuchiki Byakuya's face darkened. Don't take him seriously. Byakuya, you have to be careful, the two of them are very powerful. Kuchiki Silver Ling said. Kuchiki Silver Suzu to be attacked before, but if he lost, he was defeated, and he was completely defeated, so now Kuchiki Silver Suzu is very worried about Kuchiki Byakuya. Although I am very satisfied with the strength of my grandson, but 1 to 2, the possibility of winning is very small. If it's a heads up, Kuchiki Silver Suzu still has confidence in Kuchiki Byakuya. This is going to start a fight, it's too impulsive. If Captain Yamamoto knows, Captain Kuchiki will definitely be punished. Hitsugaya Toshiro said. Come together, the two of you. Byakuya Kuchiki slowly pulled out Zanpakuto Senbon Sakura. Is this guy looking down on us? Candace looked at Kuchiki Byakuya's indifferent eyes and felt angry. Use the Reiki cluster to fix it into the shape of a longbow, and then shoot an arrow at Byakuya Kuchiki. Is she a Quincy? After seeing Candace's attack method, Jingle Chunshui and the others were surprised for a while, and a sense of vigilance rose in their hearts. The relationship between Quincy and Death is an enemy, and as for the reason, they are not too clear. Kuchiki Byakuya immediately blocked Shinbin Sakura in front of him, and blocked the sacred arrow grid, and his arms trembled slightly. It seems that your strength is not bad if you can block my holy annihilation arrow, said Candace. But now Candace hasn't used her real power yet, the Holy Slayer arrow is just a very common ability, and the real advanced skills have not been used yet. Let's scatter. Senbon Sakura. Kuchiki Byakuya didn't dare to be careless and used his Shikai. Cut tilde. Bambi Aida, I don't need you to intervene, I can handle him myself. Candace was wrapped around Thunder. Candace's holy character ability is Thunder, and Thunder is one of the best in attack power. In the wave of his hand, countless lightnings flashed towards Kuchiki Byakuya. Kuchiki Byakuya could only gather the blades to block in front of him. Humph, I hope you don't ask me for help for a while, or you'll be embarrassed. Bambietta snorted softly. Candace ignored Bambi Aida, she was very confident, it would be a shame if Kuchiki Byakuya couldn't take it. Everyone in the Star-Crossed Knights has the strength beyond the captain-level death god, and Candace is no exception. The thunder in his hand was released again. This time the lightning was stronger than the previous one, I don't know how much. Let's scatter. Thousand Sakura Jingyan. Byakuya couldn't take it anymore, so he could only use Bankai to resist. After Bankai, Shinbin Sakura's blade fell vertically to the ground, causing ripples. Then, in the ripples in the ground on both sides, a huge blade rose, and thousands of huge blades stood up, and then the blade was broken down into countless blades. The light refracted by the blade made the blade look like a cherry blossom. In terms of beauty, Senbon Sakura is absolutely unmatched by anyone, even higher Enmaru's Ice Dragon and Ice Wing are far behind. King Jingqian Ben Sakura Jingyan. Hundreds of millions of blades wrapped Candace inside, and then strangled Candace. Jingle Chunchui frowned. That woman should be fine, right? If something really happened, with Chenhu's short personality, Kuchiki Byakuya would definitely not be spared. Boom. Hundreds of millions of blades were scattered, the powerful thunderlight Jinchuriki column shone, and the ultra-high electric shock destroyed the small blades that were invisible to the naked eye. Kuchiki Byakuya's eyes were serious, and after seeing that Sakura Jingyan had no effect, he was ready to use his strongest move. Final View White Emperor Sword. This is Kuchiki Byakuya's strongest move. It pours all the petals and spiritual power of Senbon Sakura into the sword and emits a white light. It looks like wings that spread wings. When using this move, you can fly. However, the effect of flying is not great, because basically a god of death can fly, and as long as you use the spirit to pave the way, you can stand in the air. The Quincy finished the Eucharist. The Thunderbolt Javelin. Boom. The two moves collided together, and the sound resounded throughout the Sarange, and the barrier that was originally set up by Jingle Chunchui to shield the spiritual pressure was also shattered. It's over, such a big movement will definitely disturb Old Man Shan. Jingle Chunchui said. In the past, Old Man Yamamoto didn't know it, but it would be strange if he didn't know about such a big movement now. Kuchiki Byakuya's body flew out, his right arm turned charred black, his hair stood up all at once, and his elegant and noble appearance disappeared. Candace was not injured, but Candace was a little surprised that the other party was able to let her use the holy body. This battle will end here. Let's go. Chen picked up Bachinliu and walked towards the 4th division. Shutara Senjumaru, Candace, Bombietta, and Menina naturally followed. Byakuya, are you okay? Kuchiki Silver Bell hurriedly stepped forward to check Kuchiki Byakuya's situation. Fortunately, Kuchiki Byakuya's injuries weren't too serious, which made Kuchiki Silver Suzu sigh of relief. I can feel Genryu Sai-sensei is rushing towards this side, and seems to be very angry. Yukitake Shuru said. I seem to have missed something. Zaragi Kenpachi ran over with his sword in his arms. But Zakagi Kenpachi was late, and the battle was over. There was a battle before. Zaragi Kenpachi pressed Hitsugaya Toshiro's head with one hand. Hitsugaya Toshiro is very upset. It's really shameful for a captain to be held down on his head. However, he was so small that he looked no different from a child. What the hell is going on here? Who is fighting privately in Sarange? Yamamoto Motoryu Saijokuni rushed over, his voice very bad. And behind him, there is also the deputy captain of the first team, Minister Jiro. Jingle Chunchui wanted to speak, but was pulled by Shiruro Yukitake. At this time, the old man Yamamoto was in a fit of anger. Whoever speaks will be unlucky. Chapter 747 The Arrival of Yohabak. There is a private battle, and you don't take the rules of the Soul Society into consideration at all. What the hell is going on? The old man Yamamoto looked at Kuchiki Byakuya. Seeing Kuchiki Byakuya injured, he knew it was related to Kuchiki Byakuya. But this made old man Yamamoto a little surprised. Captain Kuchiki is the most observant of the rules. How could he break the rules this time? There has been a clear rule that Saraiti does not allow captain-level death gods to fight at will. Can Captain Kuchiki explain it? The old man Yamamoto asked Kuchiki Byakuya. I am willing to be punished. Kuchiki Byakuya was silent for a while, then said. Captain Yamamoto, can you give this old man a face? Of course Kuchiki Silverling wanted to plead for Kuchiki Byakuya. What's more, this incident was also caused by him. If his grandson was punished for it, how could he live in his heart? The old man Yamamoto glanced at Kuchiki Silverbell, a little surprised why he was beaten like this. The rules can't be broken. The old man Yamamoto didn't give him face either. He wanted to give the old man Yamamoto face. He thought too much. Kuchiki Silverling was a little embarrassed, and then said, "What about Hyuga-chen? Everything is caused by his subordinates, and the fight also has his subordinates' share. His subordinates are still Quincy. Since his grandson couldn't escape being punished, of course he had to pull Chen Yi out, or at least share some of his guilt." The old man Yamamoto was silent when he heard the words, and punished Hyuga-chen together. "This is impossible, that guy is too strong." Although old man Yamamoto is stubborn and old-fashioned, he is not a fool, and he still knows what he can and cannot do. Byakuya Kuchiki wrote a review and handed it over, and this matter is over. If you dare to ignore the rules of Sarange in the future, you will never forgive him. The old man Yamamoto said coldly. Kuchiki Silverling heaved a sigh of relief. This was already the best result. As for the thing he was beaten, he could only helplessly reveal it. In the fourth team building, Candace and Bombietta looked at Chen carefully. Shouldn't they be punished for hitting the dead wood silver bell? "Well, I want to ask how Grandpa is now," Rukia asked aloud. "Fortunately, he wasn't killed. By the way, your elder brother Kuchiki Byakuya was beaten again," Chen said to Kuchiki Rukia. "Huh." Kuchiki Rukia was stunned. "Okay, you don't have to tie your hands and feet. If you fight, you will fight. Even if you fight, what can you do?" Chen said to Candace and Bambi-Aida. Hearing this, Candace and Bambia were relieved, as long as they didn't blame them. Originally, he had always been displeased with Kuchiki Silver Bell, and now he will fight. Time passed slowly, and a guy who shouted that it would take 900 years to restore his heartbeat, 90 years to regain consciousness, 9 years to regain his strength, and 9 days to get back the world, finally got his power back. Of course, this person is Yuhabak, the son of the Spirit King. There has always been a hymn of the Holy Emperor among the Quincy Masters, and Yuhabak will retake the world within 9 days. But this recapture is really subtle. Did Yuhabak once rule the world? Haven't heard of it. It is estimated that this guy took the whole world as his from the beginning. The completely resurrected Yuhabak fell into silence as he looked at the ice palace that had vanished into nothingness in front of him. Unlike in the original book, who had a lot of strong younger brothers as soon as they appeared, now Yuhabak has become a loner. Without a group of younger brothers, he has to do everything by himself. But even so, Yuhabak didn't change his ambitions. He wanted revenge, he wanted to make old man Yamamoto pay the price, and he wanted to replace his father, King Spirit. Now, let's first visit the culprit who caused all this. Yuhabak's eyes suddenly had multiple pupils. Omniscient and omnipotent, as long as this ability is activated, his eyes will become like this. The ability of omniscience and omnipotence is to change the future, and to change the future, you can absolutely see everything in the future. But now the future he sees is blurry, and he has no idea what the future will be like. Yuhabak frowned slightly. This was the first time that his omniscience and omnipotence had a problem. After thinking for a while, Yuhabak let go of what he thought, then left this space and came to the Soul Realm. Coming here, Yuhabak didn't disturb anyone, and headed for the 4th division. Don't look at the state of Yuhabak being sealed, but he is not clear about the outside world. Originally, Yugelin knew about Akatsuki, and Yuhabak knew all about it. But after Yugelin was killed by Chen, he didn't know much about the outside world. Yuhabak didn't hide it either. He walked into Chen's 4th division openly. This is his confidence in himself. 0. Although Akatsuki Ryochin is known to destroy the Palace of Ice and let all his subordinates die, the information left by Yugelin also shows that Hyuga Tatsu is more dangerous than Yamamoto Motoyanagi. But in Yuhabak's heart, what he fears most is Yamamoto Motoyuki Saiju. What's more, Yuhabak didn't come to do it this time. He came to recruit Chen, although Chen killed all the Quincy Masters of the Invisible Empire. But these don't matter to Yuhabak, a useless bunch of trash, die and die. And Chen destroyed the Star-Crossed Knights, which made Yuhabak appreciate Chen's strength. If he can be subdued, it will be easier to deal with Yamamoto Motoyanagi. This sloppy guy is here to find me. Anything is worthy of seeing me and kicking him out. Chen looked up at Yuhabak, who was brought in, and then instructed the members of the 4th Division. In fact, what Chen said was right. Yuhabak is indeed very sloppy now, and he doesn't pay attention to his appearance at all. Hyuga Chen, I'm here to find you. Yuhabak ignored Chen's words and sat down. Who allowed you to sit down? Didn't I tell you to get out? Chen looked at him indifferently. There was a cold light in Yuhabak's eyes. How long he had lived, and the only one who dared to talk to him like this was Hyuga Chen. Although I value your strength, but if you are arrogant because of this, I don't mind killing you in 3.4. Yuhabak is quite a tyrannical, indifferent and ruthless person. Tisk tisk tilde, you put your posture so high, it makes me very unhappy. I really don't understand how arrogant a thing like a lost dog is. Chen said with his legs crossed. Of course he recognized Yuhabak, and Chen could recognize him just by his aura and a special spiritual power that belonged to the Quincy. Yuhabak's face is getting colder and colder. He is actually called the dog of the bereaved. Okay, very good, you succeeded in angering me. Yuhabak said coldly, condensing the spiritual child in his hand, and wanted to shoot. However, Chen's shot was faster than his, and a big-eared melon seed was pasted. Snapped. After a crisp sound, Yuhabak flew out of the office. Chapter 748 Yuhabak, you are a rookie. Chen walked out of the big hole that was smashed by Yuhabak, and looked at Yuhabak, who fell to the ground and vomited blood with disdain on his face. You guy is finally here. In fact, I've been waiting for you for a long time, you know. Chen walked towards Yuhabak. Yuhabak spat out 2 kiba teeth, touched the blood at the corner of his mouth, and asked, you knew I was coming? No, I mean waiting for you to be resurrected, but I didn't expect that after you were resurrected, you couldn't wait to come to me to die. Chen said lightly. Chen, who is he? Mao Shawali and the others rushed over. How could they not hear such a loud noise in the 4th Division's quarters? This is Yuhabak. Candace looked at Yuhabak and said in surprise. As the former members of the Star-Crossed Knights, Candace, Bombietta, and Menina have all seen the portrait of Yuhabak, although Yuhabak looks very embarrassed now, they also recognize it. Yuhabak frowned as he looked at the 3 girls, the Quincy, and he was also a Quincy who had the ability of his holy writing. You 3, have you betrayed me? Yuhabak's 10 eyes became colder, and the original Yuhi-colored eyes turned bloody Yuhi-colored. Traitors, what he hates most is traitors. That's right, so what if they betrayed you? Who made you so miserable? It's really sad to be sealed for 1,000 years. Chen gave this guy a sympathetic look. No, it's less than 1,000 years now, but it's close to 1,000 years, and there are still a few days. Hyuga-chan, as long as you submit to me, after I control this world, you will be one person below 10,000 people. Yuhabak's eyes calmed down, looking at Chen and said. Chen looked at him with the eyes of a fool. Can't this guy see that I am better than him? How did he get the courage to say such a thing? Is it because it has been sealed for too long, so it is stupid to be sealed? I don't understand what qualifications you fool has to make me surrender. I think you are suitable for being a clown. It's more funny, Chen said unceremoniously. There's no need to save face for him. Anyway, Chen has already planned to kill him, so he's still saving face with him. You don't think that the sneak attack made me suffer a bit, so just think it's my opponent. Yuhabak said coldly. Have you suffered a bit of a loss? Really, I've slapped your face up. If you don't believe me, I'll find you a mirror and look at it. Unable to bear the anger any longer, Yuhabak released a spiritual arrow from his hand, hitting Chen. This is a small sacred arrow that can be fired without using a bow at all, and of course its power will be greatly reduced. However, this was released by Yuhabak, and even a small holy killing arrow would not be weaker than the holy killing arrow released by Bangpi Aida and the others. Chen stretched out his hand, crushed the arrow of light that came over, and slapped Yuhabak's right face with a slap. The left face has been swollen by Chen's beating, and now it looks very uncoordinated, and Chen is going to give him a face adjustment. Watching the slap coming, Yuhabak wanted to dodge, but he felt as if he had fallen into a quagmire, unable to move his body, and even moved his face close to him. Snapped. Yuhabak fell to the ground, causing a burst of dust, and his body was covered with dust and was very embarrassed. You're really a good person. You know I'm going to slap you in the face, so you take the initiative to bring your face up and let me punch. Chen looked at Yuhabak jokingly. This is the ancestor of the Quincy exterminator. It's really weak. Matsumoto Ranju couldn't help but complain. Actually, Yuhabak is very strong, but Chen's strength is stronger. Unahakali said with a smile. Uno Hanalai has also seen the strength of Yuhabak, and the character who fights with Old Man Yamamoto in the dark. Yuhabak, you are a rookie. You dare to come to me. I really don't know who lent you the courage. Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to pay it back? The Great Holy Bow. After the furious Yuhabak got up, he released several arrows like giant spears. Aren't you afraid that Old Man Yamamoto will be attracted by such a big movement here? Chen said after defusing Yuhabak's attack. In fact, the Old Man Yamamoto has been alerted now, and is now rushing towards this side. Yuhabak frowned slightly. He really didn't want to face Old Man Yamamoto now, although he had regained all his strength. But Yuhabak still wasn't sure to kill Old Man Yamamoto. He came to the 4th Division just to conquer Chen beyond his capacity, but he was beaten in the face, and his face was swollen. Chen, what are you going to do with him? Mao Zhawali asked. Of course he killed him. In fact, he was waiting for him to appear, and then he was killed. Now he is kindly sent to the door. Chen wanted to get all the abilities of the Quincy, killing Yuhabak, and then using the Devourer to devour everything that plundered him was the best way and the fastest way. Want to kill me? You don't have that ability yet. When we meet you next time, I will definitely kill you. Yuhabak wrote down the shame of these 2 slaps, and then prepared to retreat, planning to use the soul gift to create a few powerful men. Yuhabak has an ability called Soul Sharing, which is a very powerful ability. The Holy Word ability of the Star-Crossed Knights was given to them by Yuhabak in the form of Soul Sharing. Moreover, the gift of his soul can also make up for the defects of other people's souls, but this is not free treatment. During the treatment, that person's knowledge, experience, and skills will be recorded in the soul fragments given to him by Yuhabak. 750. After the other party dies, the soul fragments will return to Yuhabak's body, and he will get everything from others. Want to go? I'm here where you can come and go when you want. Chen looked at Yuhabak indifferently. Want to run now? Do you think I'll give you a chance? The space was blocked, and an enchantment was set up around it. Only entry was allowed and no exit. If Yuhabak wanted to escape, the door would not be left for him. Yuhabak's face gradually became gloomy, and his face was ugly to death. Actually, you really shouldn't come to me. If you don't come to me, maybe you can live a little longer. Chen's fierce momentum locked Yuhabak. The heavy pressure made Yuhabak hard to breathe, and he almost fell to his knees on the ground. At this time, Old Man Yamamoto and the other captains and vice-captains of Gotei 13 finally came over. After seeing Yuhabak, the Old Man Yamamoto was surprised when he didn't have time to ask what happened. Yuhabak, you are actually resurrected. The Old Man Yamamoto pulled out Zanpakuto. In the eyes of Old Man Yamamoto, Yuhabak is more dangerous than the previous Aizen, but Old Man Yamamoto is very aware of Yuhabak's madness. At the beginning, the subduing Yuhabak also relied on the power of calling him a monk by his real name. Together, they deprived Yuhabak of his consciousness and heartbeat, and was regarded by Old Man Yamamoto as the most dangerous person. Chapter 749 Cool Friend Habak. Yamoto Shigekuni, long time no see. Your aura is not as fierce as before. Yuhabak said looking at Yamamoto Yuan Lusai Shigekuni. Although the momentum of the Old Man Yamamoto is very heavy now, the degree of danger is far less than before. Yuhabak, the legendary ancestor of the Quincy exterminator. Jingle Chunchui's eyes flashed. Well, I'll interrupt you first. You don't want to catch up. I'm still in a hurry now. Chen made a statement to interrupt Old Man Yamamoto and Yuhabak's gaze. Captain Hyuga, Yuhabak is very dangerous, we must destroy him together. The Old Man Yamamoto said solemnly. Is it very dangerous? It's not as strong as the previous Aizen, and it's a War 5 scum. Chen doesn't think Yuhabak is dangerous at all. Maybe Yuhabak is stronger than Aizen in the original work, but it is definitely stronger than Aizen, who evolves again at the level of final evolution in the original work. Old Man Yamamoto is so nervous now, it's purely psychological, he really values Yuhabak too much. However, before Chen could continue to say anything, the Old Man Yamamoto had already started. Out Sanpakudo Ryujin Jaka, he slashed towards Yuhabak with one knife. With this knife, the Old Man Yamamoto used all his strength, and the muscles on his arms bulged. Boom! Yuhabak summoned a sword with the Cross of Extermination, and the Cross of Extinction blocked Ryujin Jaka, who was the Old Man of Yamamoto. The airflow burst open on both of them, and the ground was overturned by the powerful airflow. What a powerful force! To be able to block the old man down the mountain is indeed the first ancestor of the Quincy exterminator. Jingle Chunchui said. When Jingle Chunchui faced Old Man Yamamoto's knife, he was also killed in seconds, but Yuhabak was able to block it easily. Yamoto Shigekuni, your strength has dropped a lot. Yuhabak used all his strength to knock Old Yamamoto out. It doesn't seem to work. Old Man Yamamoto, you should just stand aside. I'll deal with Yuhabak. Chen waved at Old Man Yamamoto. Humph. Are you disgusting the old man's weakness? The Old Man Yamamoto snorted heavily, with dissatisfaction on his face. That's right, I really dislike your weak strength. You still have self-knowledge, which is already very good. Chen Jiang nodded his head. If Old Man Yamamoto and Yuhabak were to fight, they would definitely fight endlessly, and Old Man Yamamoto couldn't solve Yuhabak. The Old Man Yamamoto felt unhappy, and then suddenly became distracted, and was kicked by Yuhabak at the opportunity. This kick was extremely savage, at least breaking a few bones of the Old Man Yamamoto. Mr. Genryu Sai, are you alright? Shiro Yukitaki ran over and helped Old Yamamoto up. Yuhabak glanced at Shiro Yukitaki, the power of the Spirit King. This guy is also a part of the Spirit King. Speed is power. Yuhabak, have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? Chen asked Yuhabak. After asking, without waiting for Yuhabak to reply, Chen kicked him in a very inauthentic manner. Yuhabak didn't react, and was kicked in the face. The swelling had just disappeared, and now his face was deformed by Chen Yi's kick. Boom! Yuhabak's body hit the barrier, and he looked at Chen with a dizzy head. Nearly kicked Yuhabak to death with one kick. Could it be that you can't hold it with one blow? I didn't expect you to be so vulnerable. Chen said to Yuhabak. Yuhabak's jaw shattered, and he couldn't recover for a while, so he lost the ability to speak. However, Yuhabak's recovery ability is also good. His broken jaw is slowly recovering, but it is far worse than Aizen. Aizen's resilience is so strong. In fact, it is also with the help of Bengyu. With the help of Bengyu, he got the body of immortality. And Yuhabak is not so arrogant. Holy! Yuhabak used the ability to sanctify, and wanted to recover the powers of Bambietta, Candace, and Menina. But it didn't work. Their power seemed to have been separated from Yuhabak, and Yuhabak couldn't regain the power of the holy text. Are you feeling confused? Wu Yu asked with a smile. What did you do? Yuhabak frowned, and now he believed that Hyuga Chen was a more dangerous person than Yamamoto Motoyanagi. That's right, I will naturally protect their safety and gentleness by relying on my subordinates, so for my subordinates, I am a good boss, not the same as you. Chen shook his finger and said. Yuhabak is very cruel. Since his subordinates are only his pawns, he is the target of his use, and he is a complete hero. Blood suit. Directly injecting the spiritual child into the blood vessels greatly increases the destructive power of the body, but when using the dynamic blood suit, the defensive static blood suit cannot be used. Therefore, in Chen's opinion, The blood and static blood suits are definitely not as easy to use as armament hockey, because armament hockey is a combination of offense and defense, which not only enhances attack ability, but also enhances defense ability. The speed is very fast. But it's still far behind. Chen turned sideways to avoid Yuhabok's slash, and then hit Yuhabok's head with his elbow. Yuhabok was stunned, and flew out like a rag doll. At this time, there was a trace of panic on Yuhabok's face, because he found that his omnipotence and ability to change the future had lost its effect. As if it could no longer be used, the biggest reliance was no longer available, and even Yuhabok couldn't help showing panic. However, thinking that he came here using the Realm of Shadows, Yuhabok suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. The Realm of Shadows is the ability to use black shadows to transfer someone or something to another space. However, the time of existence is limited. Once the time is up, the shadow will cover the person or thing using the shadow domain, forcing them to return to the original space. In the original work, it was precisely because of the limitation of this ability that Death was given time to breathe. But now this restriction has become a life-saving straw for Yuhabok. Discovering that Yuhabok, who can't beat him, can only think about running away, and when he gathers enough strength, he will seek revenge on Chen again. Yuhabok thought so, but unfortunately he didn't know that Chen had blocked the surrounding space, and it was impossible for him to go back. The Realm of Shadow is also a space ability. Under the blockade of space, it can't have any effect at all. Coming here, as long as Chen didn't take the initiative to let him go, Yuhabok would not be able to leave here. And Chen wouldn't let him go, he just wanted to get Yuhabok's Quencher's ability. How could he let Yuhabok run away? So this time Yuhabok is going to get cold, and he still sent him to his door to court death, and he was caught in a snare. But at this time, Yuhabok didn't know that he couldn't escape, and now he was still thinking about how to take revenge after escaping. Chapter 750 Yuhabok gets a bento. What are you laughing at? Being beaten stupidly, Chen looked at Yuhabok with the eyes of the fool. After the guy was hit on the elbow, he suddenly laughed, and Chen wondered if he had broken his head all at once. The smile on Yuhabok's face disappeared, and it was time to drag the time. Hyuga Chen, why don't you and I work together to kill the Lingwang Palace and control the world together? Yuhabok said to Chen. The old man Yamamoto's eyes tightened when he heard the words. If Chen really wanted to kill the King of Spirit with Yuhabok, it would be troublesome. Now the old man Yamamoto still doesn't know that the Lingwang Palace has been destroyed, and the Lingwang has died. At this time, the content of spirits in the air has become increasingly weak. But the changes are too subtle, and the old man Yamamoto and the others have not been able to react. I'm not interested. Now my greatest interest is all the abilities of the Quincy. Chen looked at Yuhabok, making Yuhabok feel a fatal danger. If you want the ability of a quencher, I can teach you all of it. Yuhabok said. Chen shook his head and said, this is too slow, I have a faster way. With Yichen's lazy appearance now, how could he study hard and get the ability directly as what he wants? You've lived for so many years, I think you've lived enough, I'll just give you a ride. Chen slowly pulled out the Zanpakuto from 113 feet's waist. The old man Yamamoto was relieved when he saw that Chen chose to kill Yuhabok. If Chen and Yuhabok were to kill the King Spirit Palace, he could not avoid confronting him with swords. Chen was about to start, and Yuhabok naturally didn't want to sit still. He used the flying sickle to move quickly, and instantly appeared behind Chen, but the cross knife slashed towards Chen. The annihilation cross knife slashed on Chen's body, but it didn't feel like it was slashed to the real body, just like it was slashed in the air. Yuhabok looked at the disappearing figure in front of him, and felt something bad in his heart. At this time, Yuhabok felt like a needle pierced his back. Cold sweat broke out from his forehead, and he felt a fatal crisis. Crack the air. The space was torn apart because of Chen's knife, and Yuhabok's back was torn apart by a big hole. Blood was flowing out without money. If it wasn't for Yuhabok's timely use of the still blood suit, it would have been cut in two by now. All right. In fact, even if Yhwach didn't use the still blood suit, Chen wouldn't hack him to death so directly. Chen also wants to devour the ability to plunder him, which may make him die. After all, if Yhwach dies, his ability cannot be swallowed up. Yhwach, a bug-level guy, can be hanged and beaten in front of Chen. His strongest omnipotence and omnipotence cannot be used to change the future. Self-giving. Yhwach's power suddenly increased. In the original book, Yhwach was deprived of half of his power by a character called a monk by his real name, and he used this ability to give it back. Now that his power has not been taken away, after using this ability, his strength suddenly increased sharply. Is this adding a buff to myself? Chen said, looking at Yhwach. After the strength increased, Yhwach gave up the crossed sword and punched Chen with a cyan flame on his fist. Kamui. Yhwach's fist passed through Chen's body, clearly standing in front of him, but Yhwach couldn't attack. It's very similar to Daxu's reflective film. Yhwach took a few steps back, frowning slightly. Although Chen is still here, he can no longer perceive the existence of Chen, which is likely to be a space ability. Thinking of space ability, Yhwach felt tricky. Space and time were the most difficult abilities, and also the most difficult abilities to deal with. While Yhwach was thinking about countermeasures, a hand suddenly reached out like lightning and grabbed Yhwach's neck. What? Yhwach was shocked. The extremely fast speed made him unable to react. It was too late when he came back to his senses, and Chen had already pinched him. It's over, Yhwach. Chen also doesn't want to waste time with Yhwach. Yhwach is weak in his hands now, and there is no need to tease him. God Eater. The spiritual power in Yhwach's body, including the moves he knew, and various innate abilities, were all swallowed up by Chen. Yhwach felt a wave of weakness, all his power disappeared, and he became an ordinary person. No, not even an ordinary person. You took my power. Yhwach stared at Chen fiercely, his face that was fierce in the past now looks even fiercer. When Old Man Yamamoto heard Yhwach's words, his eyes flashed, and Yhwach's power was actually robbed. It has always been Yhwach who has deprived others of his power, and now there will be a day when he will be deprived of his power by others. Yhwach can indeed deprive others of power, but only those who have received the power of Yhwach will be deprived of power. Bambi Iida and the others also received the power from Yhwach, but they had the high Tianyuan of Chen, so they were not deprived of their power. Small sacred arrow. Chen gathered spiritual power on his fingers, and then fired it out, piercing Yhwach's forehead. Yhwach, who had lost all his strength, became more vulnerable than ordinary people, so after being pierced through his forehead, Yhwach quickly lost his breath. The old man Yamamoto looked at Yhwach's body, and Yhwach, who made him extremely fearful, actually died like this. Not even a single wave was raised, and the death was too dramatic. Is Yhwach that weak? Old man Yamamoto, in fact, you should thank me. If it wasn't for me, you would have died at the hands of Yhwach. Chen looked at the old man Yamamoto and said. In the original book, the old man Yamamoto died in the hands of Yhwach, and he did not even leave his body to the old man Yamamoto. Humph, even without you, the old man can solve him. Come on, you'd better treat the injury first and then talk big, Chen said with a pouted mouth. He was kicked and broke a few ribs by Yhwach, and he dared to speak out. If old man Yamamoto and Yhwach were singled out, old man Yamamoto might not be an opponent. The body of this guy will be handed over to you. After Chen lifted the barrier, he looked at the body of his friend Yhwach and said. A corpse without the slightest strength is no different in value from a human corpse, let the old man Yamamoto deal with it. Niyuli's eyes lit up. If he could get Yhwach's corpse to study, he might be able to research something. The more he thought about Niyuli, the more he wanted to get this corpse. Captain Yamamoto, I think it's better to leave it to me to handle it. Mayuri said to the old man Yamamoto. No, this guy is too dangerous, let's just destroy it. Shikai Ryujin Jaka, the old man of Yamamoto, burned Yhwach, body to ashes with a torch. In the original book, the body of the old man Yamamoto was destroyed by Yuhabak, and now the old man Yamamoto has destroyed the body of Yuhabak. Is this a feng shui turn? Chapter 751 Leave the World of Death. Superior. After Yuhabak's body was destroyed, Namori felt a little pity, but it was all over and they all left. Go to the virtual circle, I want to try the ability I got from Yuhabak. Chen said to Uno Hanari and the others, and then used Yomatsu Hirasaka to come to the virtual circle. In the forest of the Great Void, Chen floated in midair, looking at the Great Void below. Those Dashu also saw Chen, and roared towards Chen constantly, and were still condensing the virtual flash to attack Chen. You're unlucky, Holy Slayer. A bow and arrow appeared in front of Chen, and then the bow and arrow shot automatically. The arrow shot on the ground, turned into a lightsaber, and burst open. Boom! The entire Great Void Forest was bombed to the sky, all the virtual living here were killed, and the entire Great Void Forest was destroyed in one move. Yes, I am very satisfied with this power. Chen nodded with satisfaction. The Great Holy Bow. Dozens of huge spears appeared beside Chen, bombarded towards the bottom, and all items were destroyed. The entire virtual circle was punched into a huge Tianqing, and the countless virtual circles located in the virtual circle all turned their attention to the direction of the sound of the explosion. The power of the Great Holy Bow is even greater than that of the Holy Arrow. Take out Yuhabak's extinction cross, and then summon a bow. After Yuhabak died, his extinction cross also fell into Chen's hands. Using this bow to unleash the Holy Annihilation Arrow will make the Holy Annihilation Arrow more powerful, and it can also be turned into an Annihilation Cross Sword. Chen returned to the 4th Division's quarters after experimenting with the abilities of Yuhabak's various Quincy in the virtual circle. I'm back, how's the test going? Yi came over and asked. Why, do you want to learn too? How long does it take to learn? If the time is relatively short, I don't mind learning it. Shooting people with a bow and arrow is quite impressive. There was interest in Yi's eyes, but it was estimated that her interest was only 3 minutes of enthusiasm. This is actually not difficult, it's mainly about the control of the spirit child. Chen said to Yi. Then can you teach me? I want to learn too, said Broken Bee next to him. Go to Bambi Iida and the others to study. Chen pushed Bambi Iida and the others. I just want to learn from you. Yi hugged Chen's arm and rubbed against Chen's body. Okay, it's okay to teach you. Chen nodded. It is easy to destroy the simple holy arrow, and the god of death is not the ability to learn the quencher. Of course, sacred arrow can be learned, but others are difficult to learn. For example, Quincy's whole card cannot be learned after the holy body. The sacred arrow is just the basic ability of the Quincy, and it is easier to learn. Of course, this does not mean that the sacred arrow is not strong. Although this is the foundation, it is also the main attack method of most Quincy masters. And the power of any move depends on the user, and now Chen uses a Kaden, fire style, great fireball jutsu, which can also cause strong destructive power. In the blink of an eye, 2 years passed, and Chen rarely appeared in the office of Old Man Yamamoto. The Old Man Yamamoto was surprised when he saw Chen coming to him. Why did you come to me? The Old Man Yamamoto asked Chen. I'm here because I want to say goodbye to you, Old Man Yamamoto. I'm leaving here, Chen said with a faint smile. Having been in the world of Death God for hundreds of years, Chen also wanted to change the world. Leave? Where are you going? The Old Man Yamamoto asked with a frown. Go to other worlds, and you won't come back in the future. This time I came here specially to tell you. I think you should be very happy now, Chen said. For Old Man Yamamoto, he was an unstable factor. Although Old Man Yamamoto didn't say it, he was very afraid of facing Chen in his heart. The Old Man Yamamoto was puzzled. In other worlds, is it going to the present world or a virtual circle? The Old Man Yamamoto misunderstood. He thought that the other world Chen mentioned was the virtual circle or the present world. You're going to find someone to be the captain of the 4th division. By the way, there is also the 2nd division, and the broken bees will also leave with me. After Chen finished speaking, he walked outside, and after reaching the door, Chen stopped. Old man Yamamoto, I have bad news to tell you. Chen turned his head and said to Old man Yamamoto. What's the matter? The Old man Yamamoto suddenly felt a bad feeling in his heart. King Ling is dead. He died a long time ago and was killed by me, so you should think about how to find a way back. After Chen left, the Old man Yamamoto looked dumbfounded, as if he didn't react. In fact, there was no response, and Chen's sudden news stunned Old man Yamamoto. Did he hear it wrong? The Spirit King is dead. Is it a joke, or is it true? The Old man Yamamoto stood up and contacted Team Zero first. I contacted Team Zero through a special method, but Team Zero seemed to have lost contact and could not be contacted at all. At this time, Old man Yamamoto believed a little. Thinking of the consequences of the King Spirit's death, the Old man Yamamoto's face turned gloomy, but after the King Spirit's death, wouldn't the 3 realms collapse? The Old man Yamamoto left the first team building, and then went to the Lingwang Palace. With the status of the Old man Yamamoto, of course there is a way to go to the Lingwang Palace. Now the Old man Yamamoto must go and see for himself whether the King Spirit is dead, whether Chen is fooling him, or whether he really killed the King Spirit. After Chen returned to the 4th division, he looked at Ujawali and the others and asked, Are you ready now? I estimate that it won't be long before Old man Yamamoto will kill him. When the Old man Yamamoto knew that it was true that the death of the Spirit King was true, he would definitely kill him. It's ready, Ujawali nodded. It's just to pack some things, and they pack up soon, just waiting for Chen to take them away. Okay, then let's get out of this world. Chen took Bachenliu in his arms and held Kasuga Yi Chang's hand with one hand. There is a space channel in front, which is the space channel opened by Chen to the system space. Chen Xian walked in with Bakianyu and Chang, and then the women such as Ujikali, Yaiki, Hibun Kiryu, and Rukia also walked in. Not long after Chen left, the Old man Yamamoto brought the captains of the various teams to kill him, but Chen had already left, and the Old man Yamamoto came late. Abominable sinner Hyuga Chen, the Old man Yamamoto yelled angrily, this time he was really pissed off. The most important Spirit King was actually killed by Chen, and he still didn't know the key. I said Old man Shan, what crime did Captain Hyuga commit? Jingle Chunshui asked Old man Yamamoto. The unforgivable sin, said the Old man Yamamoto angrily. Is it not an unforgivable sin to kill the Spirit King? Seeing the angry appearance of the Old man Yamamoto, Jingle Chunshui was embarrassed and did not dare to speak. After the Old man Yamamoto was angry for a while, he began to think of a solution. He was very clear about the importance of the Spirit King. Now that Hyuga Chen did not know where he went, it was useless for him to be angry. He still tried to find something to replace the Spirit King. Bar. Chapter 752 Leave the World of Death. Down. Yo tilde. With so many people, Tsunade said, looking at Chen who entered the system space and the women behind him. Eat my punch. Kushina clenched her pink fist and punched Chen. Boom. Harabelle blocked Kushina's fist with the great sword behind the blade. HMPH. I'm quite loyal to you. Kushina put away her fists and looked at Chen with resentment. Chen-san smirked, it's better not to talk at this time. Alright Kushina, aren't you already mentally prepared? Makoto came over and patted Kushina on the shoulder. But I still feel bad. Kushina pouted. Husband-kun, I didn't expect you to find so many sisters. Hancock threw himself into Chen's arms and looked at Chen resentfully. Behind Chen, Maojawali's eyes lit up with a dangerous light, making Chen feel like a needle piercing his back and numb his scalp. Chen, don't you explain it. Maojawali said to Chen. Explain what? Chen scratched his head, pretending to be stupid. Chang, who was holding Chen's hand, suddenly picked up his arm, and then bit his arm. Seeing so many beautiful women, Chang's heart was full of jealousy, and the sea of jealousy in his heart was churning endlessly. Alas, scumbags should be hacked, Hanabi said with a sigh. Hanabi, stop talking nonsense. Hinata reached out and covered Hanabi's mouth. Hanabi nodded, because she had already seen Chen's staring eyes, and she didn't dare to continue. Well, I still have something to deal with, you guys talk, don't fight. Chen found an excuse to escape and disappeared instantly. Damn, this guy is still running away, I want to get him back and teach him 100 times. Kushina said, jumping. I'm afraid you have been taught 100 times. Makoto said quietly. Hello, my name is Uchiha Makoto, nice to meet you. Makoto said with a smile. I actually laughed, Kushina said feebly. My name is Uno Hanariot, nice to meet you. Uno Hanariot had the same gentle smile as Makoto's. But although the two were laughing, their eyes seemed to be raining swords and arrows. Chen is watching from a distance, it shouldn't be a fight. If there is a real fight, he will stop it. But at this time, don't let it go, otherwise the relationship between them may be more intense, and Chen will definitely not feel better. Shuiheim, please help go over and take a look, Chen said to Shuiheim who was standing beside him. Shuiheim rolled her eyes at Chen, then walked over there. Fortunately, the fight did not happen, but there was still some hostility between them. It seems that the two of you are getting along quite nicely. If that's the case, I'm relieved. Chen nodded in satisfaction. However, after the girls heard the words, they all gave Chen a big Byakugan, and Chen was completely unaware. In fact, Chen is pretending not to see. Kushina leaned over to Chen's side, then fell directly into Chen's arms, looking at the others with a proud expression. Kushina, you still like to die and draw hatred, Chen whispered in Kushina's ear. What's the meaning of death and hatred? Kushina gave Chen a dissatisfied look, and then bit Chen's body. The potato chips in Chang's hand were crushed, and he looked at Kushina with a hint of ill will. Your name is Kasuga Yi Dome. Tisk tisk. Kushina glanced at Dome, then tisk tisk laughed twice. Chang felt very uncomfortable and asked dissatisfiedly, what are you laughing at? You need to eat more meat to supplement nutrition. Look at your lack of nutrition, this is not good, Kushina said with a concerned look. Chang looked down at himself, and then at Kushina's plump figure, his unhappiness accumulated to the extreme. What's amazing, she can continue to grow, maybe she will surpass this hateful woman in the future and make her envy herself. All right, in fact, this is Chang's self-deception. It has been hundreds of years, but she has not changed at all, and her figure has been fixed. Chang's little hand was squeezing, and I have to say that Kushina's ability to draw hatred is unparalleled. It took a long time to pull Chang's hatred. Chang, in fact, poor milk is also a rare resource. Chen touched Chang's hair and comforted. I'm going to duel with you. Chang stood up and pointed at Kushina. Kushina glanced at Chen, and then shook his head without hesitation to refuse. Duel, joking, it is estimated that they will be cleaned up by Chen before they fight. Kushina, you just bully little girls. Hancock looked at Kushina with contempt. Humph. Kushina snorted softly, and the two stared at each other, neither of them wanting to admit defeat. Hancock, Kushina is staring at you, don't admit defeat, go and fight her. Robin said to Hancock. Don't mess around, Robin. Alvia grabbed Robin's arm and said. Chen is not in a hurry to cross other worlds, but stays in the system space to accompany the girls, and is not in a hurry to cross other worlds. By the way, Chen also took a look at the harvest in the world of death for so long. The exchange points have been close to 100 million, most of which were brought by Bengyu and Zanpakuto built by Wang Yu. There are also many lottery draws, more than 500 times. Chen has been in the world of death for nearly 500 years. These lottery draws are not used, try to accumulate 1,000 times, and then have 1,000 consecutive draws. Of course, that's the only plan, who knows if Chen will use all the lottery times on a whim one day. I have been with the girls in the system space for more than a year, and their relationship has improved a lot in the past year. Of course, the main thing is that Chen has adjusted well. As for how to adjust, it is of course the big quilt. With the friendship in arms, the relationship will definitely improve slowly. Today Chen is going to leave and travel through other worlds. Opened the system panel, and then Chen chose a random crossing of 1 million exchange points. He had worn it twice in a row, and Chen was already familiar with it. 4.3. A huge portal appeared in front, and Chen and the girls waved their hands and prepared to leave. I don't know if he will bring a bunch of women back, Kushina said. That's for sure. Tsunade nodded directly. Then just pull him back. Chong said. It's too late, he has already walked in. Makoto spread out his hands, with a look of helplessness on his face. When Kushina and the others were talking, Chen had already entered the huge space portal. After Chen stepped into the space portal, the time in the system space changed and slowed down by hundreds of times. This was controlled by Chen, and he could control the time flow rate of the system space. Kushina and the others spend a day in the system space, and Chen has spent several months in the outside world. This way, for Kushina, Makoto and the others, it was as if Tatsu hadn't been away for too long. 4 Conan _ Chapter 753 Conan World. Encountered robbers. A deserted Yamanaka, a huge space portal suddenly appeared, and Chen came out from it. I don't know which world this is. Chen looked around, it was just a small deserted mountain. It doesn't seem to have any special energy. Chen sensed it and found no strange energy. Walking down this small desolate mountain, Chen was a little stunned, saying, "Where am I going now? What the hell is this place?" Chen, who doesn't understand this world, chose a random direction, and let's talk about it after seeing people. After walking leisurely for more than half an hour, Chen finally saw someone. It seems to be an ordinary modern city with a lot of traffic. Chen glanced at the vehicles on the road and muttered softly. Look at that man, he's dressed so strangely. I think that dress is very nice. And this man is so handsome. I really want to sleep with him for one night. Several girls in high school uniforms whispered. All the words they talked about came into Chen's ears, and Chen's head was full of black lines. When he saw me, he wanted to sleep with me. Your sister's openness. However, when they said that they were wearing strange clothes, Chen looked at the Captain Yuri on his body, and it was very strange that it was incompatible with the clothes of the people on the street. Learn about the situation in this world first, and then make some money. Chen said softly. In modern cities, it is absolutely impossible without money. After finding a hapless person, Chen directly read his memory, and then had a general understanding of the world. This is indeed an ordinary urban world. Anyway, from this person's memory, there is no memory of special power. However, from this guy's memory, Chen has learned a piece of information, that is, Sherlock Holmes in the Heisei era. Hearing about Sherlock Holmes in the Heisei era, Chen thought of that pupil of the god of death. Is this a world where people often die and criminals catch a lot of them? However, this person paid little attention to the aspect, so Chen found another person and read the memory in his mind. I learned that there is indeed a guy called Kudo Shinichi, who is known as Sherlock Holmes in the Heisei era, and is very famous throughout Kanto. I've come to the world of Shinigami primary school students. It's an everyday world to me. Chen's mouth had a slight smile. This place is extremely dangerous for ordinary people, but for Chen, it is an interesting everyday world, and there is no danger at all. Let's solve your household registration problem first. Now Chen is a black man. But the solution to this is very simple. As long as the system helps to create a certificate, I believe the system can solve it. Came to a jewelry store. Chen was going to make some money, don't get me wrong, not to rob the jewelry store, but to sell gems. The system space, gems are already piled up like mountains, and gold and silver treasures are everywhere, all of which were collected by Nami in the world of pirates, and you can shock the world with just one piece. Let your person in charge come over, I have a big business to discuss with him. Chen said lightly. The clerk nodded and immediately called their person in charge. As for why she was so obedient, Chen used demonic illusion hypnosis on her, and of course she would be obedient. Boom. There was a gunshot, and several masked men came in with pistols in their hands, and even a micro-chung. After seeing them, the corners of Chen's mouth twitched. Although he knew that the crime rate in this world was very high, the first day I came to this world, I met gangsters for several reasons. Ah! All the people in the jewelry store squatted down, shouting and screaming, and some people tried to run, but they were shot to death. After killing the chicken and scaring the monkey, after one person died, everyone calmed down and squatted on the ground in fear, feeling a little overwhelmed by the fright. "We are only seeking money, not hurting people's lives," said the robber's boss. "After killing a person, you said that you are only seeking money, not hurting people's lives. Who would believe this fuck? Hello, you dare to sit here, do you want to die?" A robber pointed his gun at Chen, looked at him with murderous intent, and from the murderous look in his eyes, he knew that this was a guy with life in his hands. Ordinary people will be frightened by this fierce look, and they may be frightened. "You rob you, am I sitting here in the way of your business?" Chen asked lightly. Even this murderous aura dared to scare him. If Chen unleashed his murderous aura, he could scare this guy to death, and more people would die in Chen's hands than he had ever seen in his life. The robber was not lightly choked, and it was true, Chen sitting there would not hinder them, but he was upset. They have guns in their hands, they are vicious robbers, they have robbed habitual robbers I don't know how many times, which time didn't they scare those people into shit? Now that you are sitting here calmly, I have no dignity. Since you're courting death, then die for me. The robber's face under the hood was extremely hideous, and the black muzzle was aimed at Chen. Wait. Just when some girls couldn't bear to see this handsome man killed, a beautiful woman with glasses, a light blue dress and black stockings stood up. Just after she stood up, several guns were aimed at her, and her face was calm, but she was also very flustered when several guns were pointed at her. I didn't expect there to be beautiful women. A robber looked over with lustful eyes, which made this beautiful and mature woman a little disgusted, with the same eyes as that of the unsatisfactory man. The third, go get the jewelry, the police will come to 890 in a while. The eldest shouted to the robber with a fascinated look. As for the two of them, just kill them. The boss said coldly. Silver stores several times, but he was more decisive before he was caught. This is not the time for nonsense. Who dares to take the lead and directly beat him to death? What's the use of talking nonsense? The police will come soon. You want to kill me? I'm a ninja. Chen took out a kunai that he had not used for a long time. Hey Tilda. The boss smiled disdainfully. Ninja. What is the age of the ninja now? Maybe once, the ninja was indeed a terrifying profession, but now, it is the world of guns. This guy doesn't know. Chen is not the kind of ninja he knows. There are also ninjas in this world, but they are just ordinary people who have undergone special training and are good at assassination. It is now a thing of the past. After the emergence of firearms, the profession of ninja has slowly disappeared, or it has become a killer. Tisk tisk tilde. Chen's kunai flew out, and at the same time, 5 shuriken appeared in his hand, and then threw it out. The shuriken that seemed to be thrown at random collided in the air, then changed its flight path, and stuck it in the necks of the 5 robbers. A total of 6 robbers, 5 died under the shuriken, and 1 was pierced by Kuudong's neck. His eyes were wide and dead. Chapter 754. This woman is Feiyingli. In the jewelry store, everyone's eyes widened. These robbers died. The death of these robbers was only a short moment. No one saw how Chen took action, and even those robbers did not know how they died when they died. It's bad luck. You don't look at the almanac when you go out to rob. You are unlucky. Chen said lightly. Should I be in self-defense now? Chen asked while looking at the stunned people. Although it is indeed self-defense, it is still a little troublesome for you to carry controlled items. The beautiful woman with glasses walked over and said. After seeing the corpse, you're not afraid at all. Chen looked at this woman strangely, seeing her calm face, as if she was used to it. I'm used to it. Hello, my name is Fei Yingli. I'm a lawyer. Thank you for saving me. If you are in trouble, you can find me. Chen was stunned for a moment. No wonder this beauty was a little serious. It turned out to be Mao Lilan's mother, the queen concubine Yingri of the legal world, and the heroine's mother. But concubine Yingri really looks young. He took the business card and glanced at it, then said, "Actually, I just saved myself, so I don't need to thank you." "Sir, thank you this time, don't worry. We will help you solve this matter." The person in charge of the jewelry store came out and said. "In addition, this is the reward we prepared, please do not refuse." The person in charge took out a check and handed it to Chen. 10 million yen, converted into RMB, is about 600,000, not too much nor too little. Chen took it over, and now he is short of money. Why not? Soon the police came, and the person who came was the police officer Mumu. Seeing the dead robbers, his eyes were very dignified. These robbers are habitual robbers who have done a lot of major crimes, but when they saw that they were fatally shot, they immediately became serious. "Mr. Hyuga, you killed all these people in an instant, how did you do it?" Officer Mumu asked with a frown. "The positions of these robbers are irregular. How can they kill everyone at the moment when they can't react? This guy is too dangerous." In just a split second, Officer Mumu defined Chen as a dangerous person, killing 6 people in such an instant, even a firearm can't do it. "I seem to have the right not to answer this," Chen said. "Officer Mumu, Mr. Hyuga is in self-defense. If he hadn't shot and killed these 6 robbers, it might have caused a lot of casualties. They are all extremely vicious people," Fei Yingli said. "Lawyer Fei, why are you here?" Officer Mumu saw Fei Yingli. "I've been standing here all the time, you are so observant, no wonder you've always been in the police department," Fei Yingli said dissatisfiedly. Officer Mumu looked embarrassed. He really didn't see it. After he came in, he kept paying attention to the dead kidnappers. "Sorry, but lawyer concubine, why are you here?" Officer Mumu asked curiously. "Because I saw a piece of jewelry and came to buy it. I didn't expect such a thing to happen." Fei Yingli also didn't expect that when she came to buy a piece of jewelry, she would encounter a jewelry store robbery. "Mr. Hugachin, this time it is indeed self-defense, but you shot someone's life, it's a bit too much, but the other party has a gun in his hand, so he won't be prosecuted, but you must explain clearly, where did these weapons come from?" Inspector Mumu asked seriously. Although Japan's control is not as strict as Washa, the sharp kunai and shuriken are absolutely not allowed to be carried. "Officer Mumu, come with me." The person in charge of the jewelry store came over and pulled Officer Mumu to the side. Officer Mumu frowned slightly and followed, and then the two talked for a while. After returning, Officer Mumu didn't ask any more about the shuriken and the kunai, but only warned Chen that no controlled knives were allowed, and the kunai and the shuriken were confiscated. Confiscated, confiscated. There are a lot of backpacks of this ordinary kunwuta system. Totally useless. If it weren't for the fact that he didn't want to be too shocking, Chen wouldn't kill them with this ordinary fine steel kunai. The police left with the body, and by the way, the body of the person who was killed by the robbers was also taken away. "Mr. Hyuga, I really thank you for solving the robbers this time. You can come to me anytime if you have anything." The person in charge of the jewelry store looked grateful. If the robbers really let the robbers snatch the precious jewelry, then the person in charge will definitely come to an end. "I wanted to invite you to dinner to express my thanks. But I'm going to the police station now, so I can only do it another day," the person in charge said apologetically. "It's okay to eat." Chen refused directly, and she wasn't a beauty, so why would you eat with him? After the person in charge left, Chen walked out of the jewelry store. "I didn't expect to go to the police station to record a statement. It seems that the background of this jewelry store is not small." After walking out, Chen said to himself, "This jewelry store is the largest jewelry store in Tokyo. It is very famous. It is backed by a big consortium. Even senior officials should give some face. Concubine Eri, who came out behind Chen, said. Oh, that's how it is. Chen just read other people's memories and knew that this was the most famous jewelry store, but he really didn't know what the background was. Do you have time? I want to invite you to dinner. Fei Yingli asked Chen. Since it's a beautiful invitation, even if you don't have time, make time for it. Chen said with a smile. Sitting in Fei Yingli's blue BMW Mini Cooper, I came to a restaurant. This restaurant is not bad, I come here often. Fei Yingli said to Chen. By the way, how old is Mr. Hyuga? I think it looks like my daughter. Fei Yingli asked curiously. Could it be that Miss Concubine wants to introduce her daughter to me? If that's the case, I won't mind. Chen said with a smile. But Miss Concubine seems to be in her 20s. Your daughter should be no more than 10 years old. No, my daughter is 16 years old and is in her second year of high school. Fei Yingli said with a smile. Everyone is happy to be told that they are young. That's it. I'm also 16 years old, about the same age as your daughter. Maybe you can introduce me. Chen Da said boldly. If he just looked at his appearance, Chen said that he was 16 years old, and some people really believed him. After all, if he really looked at his appearance, he would never be more than 18 years old. Chen, are you really a ninja? Fei Yingli was a little curious about the ninja who had disappeared. I used to be a ninja, but my ninja is different from the ninja you think of. Chen shrugged and said. Fei Yingli wanted to ask what was the difference, but the two had just met and were not too familiar with each other, so she was embarrassed to ask more. It's better not to ask more about things that involve some privacy. Chapter 755. A transfer student from Tedon High School. After having a meal with concubine Yingli, Chen said goodbye and left, and had a meal in vain. What a joy. Fei Yingli looked at Chen who was leaving, and was a little lost. After she couldn't see Chen's figure, she came back to her senses. Then she drove back home and fell on the sofa, her cheeks slightly flushed. After touching her hot cheeks, Fei Yingli felt that something was wrong. For some reason, after seeing Chen for the first time today, she seemed to have a different feeling in her heart. That feeling seemed to be heart-wrenching, and it was precisely because of this that she shouted and stood up when the robbers were about to shoot. Why would I fall in love with a boy about the same age as Xiaolan? It must be an illusion. Fei Yingli patted her face and suppressed all the messy thoughts in her heart. She's not a child anymore, how could she still fall in love at first sight, and she doesn't believe that so-called love at first sight really exists. However, Chen drew a lottery to obtain an ability that he thought was useless, that is, to make the woman who saw him fall in love with him at first sight, but the probability of triggering is very small, similar to the probability of winning a lottery ticket. And Fei Yingli is like this, it is very likely that she has won the lottery. By the way, I don't seem to want his way of contacting 847. Fei Yingli's cheeks changed slightly. During the meal, she was always in a state of turmoil, so she forgot to contact her. He has the business card I gave him, so he should contact me. Fei Yingli whispered while holding the pillow beside him. But she also knew that it was probably impossible. Anyone who had nothing to do would contact a lawyer, or a married lawyer. Thinking of Maori Kogoro, who has been separated from Maori Kogoro for 10 years, and her relationship has been almost wiped out by time, she is disappointed except for Maori Kogoro. Chen walked to the sales office. Now that I have some money, I need to get a place to live first, otherwise I will sleep on the street. He is dignified Hyuga Chen. If he is reduced to sleeping on the street, it will not be laughable and generous. After looking at the house, Chen still thinks it's okay. He can't afford the one he likes, and he doesn't like the one he can afford. As expected, 10 million yen is still too little. I want to buy a more luxurious manor villa, but this kind of villa cannot be bought without hundreds of millions of yen. Who makes the purchasing power of yen so poor? If only you gave me a check for $10 million. Chen couldn't help thinking as he walked to the sales floor. But this is just too much thinking. Even if the jewelry store is really robbed, it will never lose 10 million US dollars. How can it be rewarded with 10 million US dollars? To silver, change the check, and find a hotel to stay. After arriving at the hotel, Chen checked the internet, and now Kudo Shinichi is still dying, so it has not become smaller, and the plot has not started yet. There is also information about today's robbery on the internet, but there is no information about Chen, and all the credit is given to the Japanese police. Chen K is different from Kudo Shinichi. He doesn't like being famous, and it doesn't make any sense, so he simply threw all the credit to the police. Because of this, the police had a good impression of Chen, because the robber was killed this time, and the police also took off their incompetent hat. Because of the existence of detectives, the Japanese police are often labeled as incompetent, so the police do not like detectives. But in this world, the police seem to be attacked by their intelligence. They basically rely on detectives to solve cases. They are also very helpless. Since Kudo Shinichi hasn't turned into the famous detective Conan who looks like a child but has a bigger head than ordinary people, then I'll go to Teten High School and hang out. Check out the so-called Kudo Shinichi. Chen, who was sitting on the sofa, thought for a while, and then said, "Since you have come to this world, let's have fun in this world. Besides, it's pretty interesting here." Early the next morning, Chen went to the jewelry store and found the previous person in charge. "Mr. Hyuga, I don't know why you are here. I want to sell this to you." Chen took out a fist-sized gem, and the gem shimmered with attractive luster to make the person in charge shine. Quickly called the appraiser to check. After the appraiser finished the appraisal, he shook his head at the person in charge, and said, "This thing is too expensive, at least worth more than $1 billion. Chen is a little surprised. "This thing is piled up like a mountain, is it so valuable?" The person in charge said that it is difficult to handle. It is very difficult to eat $1 billion in their store. Although their store has the support of a large consortium, the cash flow of $1 billion is unbearable. "Why not? Mr. Hyuga left things here, let's help Mr. Hyuga auction off," the person in charge suggested. "Okay, but I need money urgently." "This is easy to handle, I'll let someone call you $50 million now," the person in charge said immediately. Chen looked at the extra money in the account, nodded with satisfaction, and then left the jewelry store. He was going to buy some supplies. "First, I bought a large manor, which is not far from Kudo's new family, and then some items such as mobile phones. As for the car, he didn't buy it, because he didn't have a driver's license at all. It's easier to get a driver's license, just let the system do it. But now Chen has no time to buy a car, because he is going to report to Teten High School. Lan, according to the gossip, a transfer student has come to our school, and it seems that he will be transferred to our class." Yuanzi approached Shaolin with the appearance of 8 trigrams. "How did you know?" Shaolin asked curiously. That's because I have a special channel. I don't know if this transfer student is a boy or a girl. I hope he's a handsome guy." Sonoko looked like a nympho. "By the way, isn't this guy coming again?" Suzuki Sonoko glanced at Kudo Shinichi's position. "Yeah, he called me in the morning and asked me to take a leave of absence for him." This reasoning madman, even at 1010's truancy, Miss Ben is not as good as him. Suzuki Sonoko pouted. In fact, Suzuki Sonoko didn't have a good impression of Kudo Shinichi, because every time this guy ran for several days, Shaolin was worried about him. He knows how to be brave all day long, and tells about his own case-solving and other reasoning matters all day long, regardless of whether others like to hear it or not. This guy is a guy who only cares about himself and completely ignores the thoughts of others. He is too self-centered. "Yuanzi, hurry up and go back to your place. The teacher will come in a while," Shaolin reminded Yuanzi. Sonoko stuck out his tongue and ran back to his place. Soon the head teacher of Class B of the second year came in. "Dear classmates, we have a transfer student in our class today." After Sonoko heard it, she winked at Shaolin proudly, as if to say that I am well informed. Chen walked in, and the moment Chen came in, he felt a series of eyes gathered on him, including the fiery eyes of girls and the jealous eyes of boys. Chapter 756 Garden Invites. Hello everyone, I'm a new transfer student, my name is Hyuga Chen. Chen said with a slight smile. So handsome. Sonoko was already crazy at this point, and she swore that this was the most handsome person she had ever seen. Xiaolan, have you seen it? He's really handsome. He will be my male god from now on. Sonoko said to Xiaolan with excitement. Xiaolan looked at Chen also slightly absent-minded. She was indeed handsome, and had a special temperament, as attractive as a poppy. Well, does Hyuga Chen have any hobbies? Or do you have a dream? The head teacher listened to Chen's brief introduction, a little speechless. Interesting. I have many interests and hobbies. My dream is to open a big harem. Everyone was shocked by Chen's words. The boys all looked at Chen with contempt, while the girls' eyes were eager to try. To open a harem, so can I join the harem? The head teacher had a black line and said quickly, Hyuga Chen, sit at the back. Talking about opening the harem in front of the whole class and his teacher is also a talent. The head teacher has a headache. Chen sat at the back, and soon a classmate came outside and brought a book to Chen. The principal was really thoughtful. Of course, the principal's earnestness is also related to Chen's generosity. $1 million made the principal almost give him up. Chen glanced at it. It should be Xiaolan sitting in front of him. There is still a vacancy on his left, the exclusive seat for the protagonist. It should be Kudo Shinichi's. This guy didn't come. Kudo Shinichi often misses classes, and the teacher doesn't care too much. The teacher cares about the grades, as long as his grades are good. Although Kudo Shinichi's EQ is not high, his IQ is very high, and learning this kind of thing is trivial for him as a scholar. Hyuga-chan, you just arrived. If you have any questions, you can ask the student Maulilan in front of you. The teacher on the podium said. Ah, why didn't you come and ask me? Sonoko said in frustration. Student Yuanzi, please pay attention to your grades. You just passed the grade. The teacher gave Yuanzi a blow. There were tears of grief and indignation in Sonoko's eyes. Sure enough, I should study hard. Well, if Hyuga has any questions, feel free to ask me, and I will definitely help Hyuga to answer. Maulilan turned around and said with a slight smile. I have to say that Maulilan's smile is very beautiful. There is a kind of pure beauty. Maulilan is a beautiful person. Maulilan is very beautiful. Do you want to consider joining my harem? Chen teased. Maulilan's face immediately turned Yuhi's face, and he stammered, Hyuga classmate, what are you talking about? The rest of the class was also stunned. Is this a confession? Damn, this scum full of harems. I don't know what would happen if Kudo Shinichi was here. Kudo Shinji will learn to be green. I'm inexplicably happy. See if this guy dares to pretend in front of us. There was a lot of discussion in the classroom. The teacher on the podium was full of black lines. If the principal had not greeted him and told him to tolerate Chen, he would have kicked this guy out now. Call me Chen. It's just a joke with you, don't care. Chen said to Maulilan, who was facing Yuhi. Oh, Maulilan's face turned Yuhi's head, and her body was lying on the table. A class passed quickly, and Sonoko came over immediately after class. Chen, can I call you that? Sonoko asked expectantly. Of course you can. Chen smiled at Sonoko, although Sonoko was a little crazy. As the eldest lady of the Suzuki Consortium, her character was quite good. Chen, which school did you go to before? Yuanzi asked. Sonoko's words also made Maulilan turn around curiously, and the other girls in the class also pricked up their ears, a chance to learn about the male god. Junyang Lingshu Academy, an ordinary elementary school. I guess you have never heard of it. Chenpai said with a wave of his hand. Junyang Spiritual Arts Academy, why does it feel so strange? Sonoko scratched his head. The name of the school is really strange. I heard that the famous Kudo Shinichi is in this class, isn't it? Sonoko pouted when he heard the words, then pointed to the vacant seat next to him and said, "This is the seat of Kudo Shinichi, he often doesn't come to class." "Stop talking about this guy, he's a megalomaniac and a nuisance." Sonoko was very unhappy with Kudo Shinichi. In fact, except for Shaolin and his little fangirl, everyone in the class was unhappy with Kudo Shinichi. Because Kudo Shinichi has a shortcoming, that is, he likes to show off, that is, pretending to be forceful, once or twice is no problem, but if you pretend to be too many times, it will be annoying. Tomorrow is the weekend, it's going to be a holiday, I don't know if you have anything to do. I want to invite you to play in the tropical paradise. Yuanzi said familiarly. Ah, we just met. You invite me to play. Garden is too familiar. Going to tropical paradise. Shinichi and I will also go to tropical paradise tomorrow, or let's go together. Shaolin said. You two are going to tropical paradise. Are you going to go on a date together? Sonoko showed a look of 8 trigrams. It turns out that classmate Mao Lilan already has a boyfriend, it hurts. Chen was lying on the table, looking disappointed. No, Shin and I are only childhood sweethearts. This time it's just to celebrate my karate championship. Hyuga, please call me Shaolin from now on. Oh, it turns out Shaolin, you are still the champion of the karate competition, you can't look like a person. Chen said after sizing Shaolin. Although Chen has long known in the original book, but seeing Shaolin's delicate appearance, she can become the champion of the karate competition, and she also wants to complain. Shaolin's melee combat ability can also be ranked first in the entire Conan world. If you don't feel disturbed, let's go together. Sonoko said. Hey, I haven't agreed yet. Didn't you already agree? Sonoko said, tilting her head. When did I agree? But I'm fine, it's okay to go to the tropical paradise with you. By the way, Chen, where are you from? Shaolin asked curiously. I am a wanderer. Chen showed a vicissitudes of life, his blue eyes seemed to be shining with stars, and at first glance, he was a person with a story. Shaolin and Yuanzi had question marks on their faces. Actually, I don't have a fixed place of residence. Chen Tantansho said, having traveled through several worlds, of course he has no fixed place of residence. What about your parents? I'm an orphan, Chen said. When he didn't cross in his previous life, he was an orphan. After crossing the Hokage world, when he was very young, his cheap parents died in the mission. Shaolin and Yuanzi looked at Chen sympathetically. Chapter 757 Go to Tropical Paradise. Sorry, I didn't know you were an orphan, Chen. Shaolin immediately apologized to Chen. So pitiful, let me Sonoko love you in the future. Sonoko looked at Chen sympathetically, her eyes seemed to have the brilliance of motherhood. Chen's mouth twitched, where am I pitiful? In the afternoon, Kudo Shinichi actually came to the school, and Chen was the first time to see this god of death with a curse on him. Now Kudo Shinichi has not become smaller, but he has encountered a lot of cases, big and small. It is not that he became a god of death after he became a primary school student, but that he was originally a god of death, and died wherever he went. Why are there more people in our class? Kudo Shinichi's observation skills are very strong, and naturally he saw Chen, not to mention Chen's position is next to him. This is the famous detective. I've been looking forward to it for a long time, I'm a new transfer student. Chen said with a smile. Kudo Shin gave Chen a scrutiny look, feeling a little jealous, this guy is so handsome. Steal my limelight. In the past, Kudo Shinichi was also proud of his handsome face, but he was Kudo Shinichi who coexisted wisdom and handsomeness. However, after seeing Chen, the handsome aspect has been crushed into slag. It doesn't matter, the world depends on talent, and handsome and incompetent people are just white faces. Kudo Shinichi comforted himself in his heart. Hey, Kudo Shinichi, you are so ignorant. Sure enough, you are so rude. Sonoko said angrily. Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Kudo Shinichi, and I want to be a great detective like Sherlock Holmes. Kudo Shinichi said. My name is Hyuga-chen. I want to be the king of the harem. Ah no, I want to be the one who wants to be the pirate king. By the way, Shinichi, I will go to Tropical Paradise tomorrow, and Yuanzi and Chen will also go with us. Maurelin said to Kudo Shinichi. Go to Tropical Paradise. What are you doing there? Kudo Shinichi asked curiously. Shaolin's face darkened immediately. This guy must have been forgotten. Shaolin's fists were pinched, and her whole body was enveloped in black air. Have you forgotten? You said that after I became the champion of the karate competition, you would invite me to the Tropical Paradise. Kudo Shinichi's forehead was sweating coldly, and he said quickly, I didn't forget, I remembered. Looking at Xiaolan, who was so angry that she wanted to tear him apart, even if she forgot, she said she didn't forget. Xiaolan's anger subsided. Seeing Chen looking at her in surprise, she quickly explained with Yuhi, actually, I'm usually very gentle, but this time I was just too angry. You violent woman dare to be gentle. Kudo Shinichi muttered. After Chen heard Kudo Shinichi's muttering, he hurriedly walked to one side, fearing that Kudo Shinichi's blood would splatter on him. You give me death. Shaolin punched Kudo Shinichi. Bump. Kudo Shinichi slammed into the back wall and was punched over by Akugan, nearly knocking him unconscious. Fortunately, Shaolin also pulled back, otherwise Kudo Shinichi would definitely be knocked out by a punch. All the classmates in the class fell silent. Some boys looked at Shaolin in horror, and looked at Kudo Shinichi with schadenfreude. Xiaolan is really amazing. It seems that ordinary people really don't dare to be your boyfriend. Chen said with a smile. Ahahaha. In fact, I didn't exert any force. Kudo-san was just exaggerating, right? Kudo Shinichi. After scratching her head in embarrassment, Shaolin looked at Kudo Shinichi threateningly. She didn't want to give people the image of a violent woman just after she met. Kudo Shin glanced at Shaolin. What can he say? He really has no ability to speak. She was about to vomit blood. How could Xiaolan become more and more violent? Soon the day passed, and the next morning, Sonoko came to pick up Chen. Yesterday Chen had already told her his address. Wow Tilda. Chen, your house is very big. So you are still a local tyrant. Yuanzi's eyes twinkled, and Shaolin also got out of the car. This car is Yuanzi's car. She picked up Shaolin first and then came over. Chen, your home is very close to Xinyi's home. Why haven't I seen you before? Shaolin asked curiously. This is a house I just bought and I didn't live here before. After getting in the car, Chen and the others went to pick up Kudo Shinichi, and after picking up Kudo Shinichi, they went straight to Tropical Paradise. There are so many people. Let's go quickly, or we won't be able to buy tickets. Yuanzi shouted loudly. Sonoko, this bastard, just likes to yell. Kudo Shinichi couldn't help but say. Be careful to let Sonoko hear, she will kill you. By the way, Chen, do you like reasoning? Kudo Shinichi asked Chen. I don't like reasoning. Kudo Shinichi choked, and then asked, why? Don't you think reasoning is interesting? Isn't it interesting to solve each puzzle step by step and solve the foggy cases? Everyone has their own preferences, maybe you find it interesting. But I don't find it interesting. That's right, so you should stop talking about Sherlock Holmes, or talk about what case you solved. Sonoko looked at Kudo Shinichi dissatisfied. It's a bummer that this guy talks about it every day. They're here to play, not to hear his detective stories. There is still space for the roller coaster in front, let's go quickly. Yuanzi directly took Shaolin's hand and ran to the front. Chen and the four of them walked towards the roller coaster. Chen glanced at Kudo Shin, this guy just got smaller today. In fact, this guy is self-inflicted to become smaller. He seems to be very smart, but he never does things through his head. If it weren't for the protagonist's halo, he would not have died 100 times. The best thing about Sherlock Holmes is that when he first met his assistant, Watson, it was just a handshake, knowing that he had been to Afghanistan as a military doctor. Kudo Shinichi talks about Sherlock Holmes, while Tatsu, Ran and Sonoko are not interested. This guy keeps talking, and I'm not a detective fan. What am I talking about with 3.6, it's really annoying. Sonoko whispered. Like this. Kudo Shinichi suddenly reached out to hold another woman's hand. This lady, is she an athlete who has practiced gymnastics? How did you know? The woman looked at Kudo Shinichi in surprise. Because of the blisters on her hands. Girls have blisters on their hands because they practice the horizontal bar all day. It's not just the horizontal bar that causes blisters, Sonoko said after glancing at Kudo Shinichi. Actually, when the girl's skirt was blown up by the wind just now, I accidentally saw the unique calluses on her thighs that grew out of practicing uneven bars. Kudo Shinichi said with a smile. Pervert. Hitomi, who was holding her hand, said, shaking off Kudo Shinichi and grabbing her hand. Chapter 758 The Roller Coaster Incident Part 1. Is it misunderstood as pervert? That's why. Don't say it and show off after seeing it. Look at the despising eyes around you. Chen patted Kudo Shinichi on the shoulder and said. There is space in front of us, let's take the roller coaster. Humph. Xiaolan snorted softly, and took Yuanzi's hand and walked forward. Chen glanced at Kudo Shinichi, then followed leisurely. Kudo Shinichi scratched his head in embarrassment, and then followed. Hey, get away from me. Bang. Chen turned his head and looked at the guy who collided with him and fell, this huge body, and the guy behind him who was cold and covered half of his face. A combination of fat and thin, dressed in black, two guys in black organized gin and vodka. Fatty, don't you have long eyes? Chen asked towards Vodka. Vodka got up from the ground and said coldly, what did you say? Say it again. Kudo Shinichi looked at the two men in black, his brows furrowed, he was dressed in black, and with that annoying smell on his body, he didn't look like a good person. It seems that you not only have bad eyes, but also your ears. What's the use of it? Do you want me to cut it off for you? You're courting death, believe it or not, I'll kill you. Vodka raised his fist and was about to hit him. However, his arm was caught by Jin, and Jin didn't want to make trouble. Ha ha tilde, if you want to kill me, I don't know how long it has been since no one dared to talk to me like this. How dare you, a little ant. Chen sneered at the Vodka. Chen, what's the matter? Yuanzi and Shaolin in front ran back and asked. It's okay, I just met a guy who doesn't have long eyes. Chen glanced at Jin and Vodka, then turned around and said with a smile. Jin gave Chen an indifferent look, then pulled the vodka over them and walked towards the front. These two guys are not good things at first glance, are you alright? Shaolin and Yuanzi asked. It's okay, don't affect your mood because of these two guys, let's go. Chen said with a smile. Kudo Shinichi looked at the Jin and Vodka with a thoughtful look in his eyes. Just now, he felt a suffocating aura, that kind of suffocating energy that ordinary people do not have. Only people who have life in their hands, or the butcher of the slaughterhouse, have this kind of suffocating energy. In front of the roller coaster, there are two seats. Sonoko pulls Xiaolan to sit at the front, and the second row sits the little Hitomi she met earlier, that is, the woman from Kudo Shinichi pervert. After that was Tatsu and Kudo Shinichi, followed by a man and a woman, with that little Hitomi, and at the end was Jin and Vodka. Chen, aren't you afraid of facing those two guys before? Kudo Shin asked in a low voice. What are you doing with so many inquiries? Your curiosity is too heavy, and sometimes curiosity will kill the cat. Chen glanced at Kudo Shin. Don't tell me more about Sherlock Holmes, or I can't help throwing you down. This guy, Kudo Shinichi, opens his mouth and shuts his mouth. Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Conan Doyle, Chen is already tired, can't you change the subject? The roller coaster had already started, and Kudo Shinichi also shut his mouth awkwardly, but he didn't seem to have much to say other than those detectives and the like. The roller coaster drove through the dark tunnels. Chen looked up, the dark tunnel could not block Chen's sight at all. Chen can clearly see all the movements of the woman named Xiaotong. Her movements are very fast. An ordinary person can do such a difficult movement, and it is still on a speeding car, which is powerful enough. Seeing this scene, Chen didn't pay attention to it. It doesn't matter who this woman wants to kill. However, Chen also saw the powerful physique of the god of death, and he really died wherever he went. After rushing out of the dark tunnel, seeing Mr. Kushida whose head disappeared and sprayed blood, the people on the roller coaster were startled. It suddenly turned into a headless corpse, and the vodka sitting in the back opened his mouth in surprise. He was sitting behind the man, even though he didn't know when he died. Thinking of cutting off a person's head in front of him, vodka sweated coldly on his head, and immediately turned to Jin. Chinju looked calm, not because he knew the murderer, but as a big brother, he had to remain calm no matter what, especially in front of his younger brother. The roller coaster stopped, and Kudo Shinichi immediately called the police. How could such a thing happen? Shaolin and Yuanzi covered their eyes in fear. Headless corpses still spewing blood, I wonder if they will have nightmares at night. No one is allowed to leave. Kudo Shinichi shouted loudly. Now, in this situation, it is obvious that it is a murder case. Little devil, we don't have that much time to play with you, Jin said coldly. Looking at Jin's murderous eyes, Kudo Shinichi's body trembled. It was terrifying, really terrifying. Those were eyes that ignored life. How are you? Do you want to come to my warm embrace for comfort? Chen asked when he walked to Shaolin and Yuanzi. Hey, Chen, what did this guy say? Kudo Shinichi looked unhappy. Don't the great detective like to solve cases? Now you go to solve the case. All the work to soothe the girl's broken heart is handed over to me, Chen said with a smile. You guy, do you want to plot against Xiaolan? That's right. A girl as beautiful as Xiaolan would be admired by everyone. Kudo Shinichi glanced at Chen indignantly. He must be a little more vigilant of this guy in the future. This guy is so handsome, what if he really hooks up with Shaolin? Let's solve the case now. Look at them, don't let them run away, I'll go look for some clues. Kudo Shinichi shouted to Chen. The police came very quickly. It took only 10 minutes for the police to arrive at the scene. At this time, Kudo Shinichi also came back with a confident smile on his face. Mr. Hyuga, is that you? Officer Mumu was surprised when he saw Chen, then glanced at the headless corpse, and said, could it be that you are the murderer? Officer Mumu, if I were the murderer, I would have slipped away by now, and I would have stayed here waiting for you to come. I just came to play, I didn't expect to encounter such a bad thing, Chen said dissatisfiedly. Chen, do you know Officer Mumu? Kudo Shinichi looked at Chen strangely, and looking at Officer Mumu, he seemed to be very wary of him. I met once before, but I didn't know each other well. Brother Kudo, you are here too. Officer Meguro was very happy when he saw Kudo Shinichi, and it seemed that the case was about to be solved this time. Although it's a bit embarrassing to hand over the police matter to a high school detective, but embarrassing is embarrassing. It's better to be embarrassed than to never solve a case. So there are detectives to help, and they won't object. Chapter 759 The Roller Coaster Incident Below. Come on, we still have urgent matters, don't waste our time. Vodka was very upset after seeing the police, but also a little nervous. The people in their black-clothed organization are not superhumans. If their identity is discovered, it will be difficult for the police to chase and intercept them. Maybe Jin has the ability to run away, but Vodka definitely doesn't have the ability to run away. Officer Mew Mew frowned and glanced at the two of them. These two guys are very suspicious. Brother Kudo, do you know the murderer? Officer Mumu, a blood-stained knife was found in this Aiko's bag. A policeman walked over and said, if that's the case, then this Miss Aiko is the murderer of Mr. Kushida. Officer Mumu looked at Miss Aiko with serious and stressful eyes. Okay, the culprit is that woman, can we leave now? Jin said impatiently. Didn't you see that we are all waiting here? Are you panicking to reincarnate? Or are you the real murderer? Chen said lightly. Little devil, how are you talking to my big brother? Vodka shouted. A cold light flashed in Chinju's eyes, and Chen was remembered in his heart. You should be glad there are police here. Ouch tilde. Are you threatening me? You call me a brat, and I tell you my age to scare you to death. Officer, these two guys are not good people, hurry up and arrest them. Sonoko shouted, pointing to the gin and vodka. Little girl, what did you say? Vodka clenched his fists and wanted to do it impulsively. Jin stretched out his hand, grabbed Vodka's wrist, gave Vodka a cold look, and beat someone in front of the police. Did he want to be targeted by the police? Vodka was in a cold sweat, and he felt like he was going to die when he was stared at by Jin's eyes. Hey tilde, Chen sneered, and then said, looking at how big you are actually frightened like a quail, what a waste. Do you have any conflicts? Officer Mumu came over and asked. Yeah, it's a bit contradictory, this guy bumped me on purpose and didn't have eyes. Chen said, looking at the vodka. I'm yelling to get out of the way. Do you want me to get out of the way? Okay, it's just a small matter, don't fight because of this, or I can only ask you to go to the police station. Officer Mew Mew said. By the way, arrest this Miss Aiko. After Police Officer Mew Mew turned around, he instructed several police officers. It's not the one I killed, he and I are lovers, how could it be possible to kill someone? Miss Aiko squatted on the ground and cried. Her boyfriend died and she was treated as a murderer. She was really wronged. The evidence is solid, what else do you have to quibble about? Come back to the police station with me. Officer Mew Mew said that this kind of person has seen too much, the evidence is all here, and he wants to struggle to the death. Wait a minute, Officer Meguro. Kudo Shinichi stopped Officer Meguro. Oh, is there anything else, Kudo-san? I want to say that the murderer in this case is not this Miss Aiko, but this Miss Hitomi. Kudo Shin pointed at Hitomi one by one, with a confident smile on his face. Shoutong was stunned for a moment, and then immediately said, you made a mistake. How could I kill Mr. Kushida? I was in front of me. And the knife was found in Miss Aiko's purse. Kudo Shinichi smiled confidently. This guy is going to pretend again. Sonoko whispered in Shaolin's ear. Shaolin helplessly spreads her hands. There is no way, Shinyi prefers to be in the limelight. Is the prisoner really Miss Shoutong? I don't think Miss Shoutong is a prisoner. Shaolin said in a low voice. It's really her, Chen said aloud. Chen, you know. Shaolin and Yuanzi looked at Chen and asked. Can I say that I saw her commit the murder? Chen Tan spread his hands and said, all Shoutong's actions, but all fell into his eyes. Being able to perform such a difficult action on a roller coaster, Chen felt that this little pupil is really a talent, and he has both guts and skills. It's a pity that he will be caught in prison, otherwise he will be a gymnast in the future. Why didn't you say that, Chen? But in such a dark place, can you really see clearly? Shaolin asked. I have the ability of night vision, it's useless to say it, it can't be used as evidence, not to mention that someone has solved it now. Chen looked at Kudo Shinichi. Officer Megumi, with that kind of knife, there is no way to cut off a person's head, let alone with the strength of a woman. Kudo Shinichi said. The police officer frowned slightly. This doesn't prove that Miss Shoutong is the murderer. Miss Shoutong, where's your necklace? Chen looked at Kudo Shinichi's sluggish look, a little impatient. Just take out the evidence and let the other party plead guilty. Shoutong's body froze. Did you find it too? Kudo Shin looked at Shang Chen, but he didn't expect Chen to find this too. I've seen it all. Miss Shoutong is really good at being able to complete so many actions in a short period of time by one person. Chen said to Shoutong. I don't know what you're talking about. Kudo, take out your evidence. Let's get out of here early. You're willing to stay here, but we don't. What? Brother Kudo, do you have evidence? Officer Megure immediately looked at Kudo Shinichi. Kudo Shinichi smiled embarrassedly, and he still pretended to be forceful step by step, causing shock to others. It was interrupted by Chen all of a sudden. But how does he know that I have found evidence? Kudo Shinichi now finds that his new classmate seems to be hiding. Kudo Shin took out the ropes and the pearls on the necklace and said, "Is this the necklace you wore before?" "It doesn't matter if you don't admit it, as long as you take it for a test, it can be tested." Miss Xiaotong fell to the ground in frustration, tears kept coming. Woo woo, it's all his fault, he abandoned me." After being exposed, Miss Xiaotong told everything. "Miss Xiaotong is so pitiful, she was abandoned by the scumbag," Xiaolin said. "Hey, Xiaolin, no matter how pitiful she is, she shouldn't kill anyone. This is a crime," Kudo Shinichi said. "This is a murderer, how can the prisoner forgive him? Men's death is worthless, women deserve bad luck," Chen commented while looking at Miss Xiaotong who was kneeling on the ground. "She can kill the scumbag who abandoned her, but why did you commit a crime in front of Kudo Shinichi? She should be unlucky. Chen, you who threatened to open a harem should be considered a scumbag," Yuanzi said, poking Chen's arm. "It's not the same, I'm not the same as this scumbag." Chen touched his nose awkwardly. "What? He threatened to open a harem?" Kudo Shinichi first glanced at Chen in admiration, and then his eyes became vigilant. "Xiaolin is so beautiful, this guy won't take aim at Xiaolin. To remind Xiaolin to stay away from this guy." Chapter 760 Conan appears. When the case came to light, Miss Xiaotong was arrested and charged with intentional homicide, and she will spend most of her life in a cell in the future. After Officer Mumu and the others left, Jin and Vodka also left in a hurry. "Go back, or continue to play?" Sonoko asked. "Keep playing. When this happens, calm down. Otherwise, I'm afraid that you will have nightmares when you go back. If you are afraid of having nightmares, you can find me and sleep with me full-time," Chen said with a smile. "Do you really sleep with me full-time?" Sonoko asked with interest. "Just be Xiaolin's exclusive sleep. Xiaolin, would you like to?" Chen asked Xiaolin. Xiaolin's face suddenly turned Yuhi up. Kudo Shinichi bit Kiba's teeth and actually flirted with Xiaolin in front of me. Although he and Xiaolin were only childhood sweethearts, he already regarded Xiaolin as his girlfriend in his heart. "Xiaolan, be careful with this guy is not a good thing," Kudo Shinichi said angrily. "Don't frame me, I'm a good man. I spent a day in this tropical paradise, but because of the roller coaster murder incident, the headless corpse gave Xiaolin and Yuanzi a great psychological shadow, so they were not very interested." In the evening, when Chen and the others were about to go back, Kudo Shin saw 803 rushing to a vodka in a small alley at a glance. "That person, isn't that the man in black that I met before?" Kudo Shinichi looked in that direction over there. "Xiaolan, I have something to do, you go first." Kudo Shinichi decided to follow, because his intuition told him that the man in black must have a secret. "Hey, Shinyi, you run away again, every time." Xiaolin stomped her feet angrily. Looking at Kudo Shinichi's back, Xiaolin was helpless, but she had an intuition in her heart that she would never see Shinichi again. "Curiosity killed the cat," Chen said after looking over there. "If it weren't for this guy being too curious, he wouldn't be reduced by the drug APTX 4869. Let's go first." Chen didn't go over to look, anyway, he knew that Kudo Shinichi would become smaller. However, Miyano Shiho who developed APTX 4869 is also really powerful. Of course, Miyano Shiho was able to develop APTX 4869 because of the research foundation of Miyano Elena and Miyano Atsushi. The predecessor of APTX 4869 is Silver Color Bullet, a drug researched and named by Miyano Elena and Miyano Atsushi. Silver bullets in Conan have two meanings, one refers to drugs, and the other refers to people who pose a major threat to the organization, such as Shuichi Akai, and Conan is also considered. In fact, Silver Bullet is also the name of a cocktail. On the way, Xiaolin took her mobile phone and called Kudo Shinichi, but no one answered. "I don't know why, but I always feel like something is wrong with Shinichi. Sonoko, can you let the driver take me to Shinichi's house? Shaolin asked. In fact, when they were at the amusement park, they waited for Kudo Shinichi for a long time, but Kudo Shinichi did not appear, which made Shaolin more and more worried. What can happen to a man of his age? Sonoko pouted in dissatisfaction, and then ordered the driver to go to Kudo Shinichi's house. That big detective is really a bastard. I don't know how to report safety. It's like this every time. I think Shaolin should break up with him. Sonoko said dissatisfied. Chen chuckled lightly. It is estimated that the current big detective is stunned. When I came to Kudo Shinichi's house, the lights of his house were on, and Shaolin was very angry when she saw it. If there is a light, it means that he is at home, but he still doesn't answer the phone at home. This guy Shinyi is getting more and more jerk. Shinyi, why don't you answer the phone? Shaolin pushed the door and walked in. Dr. Agasa and Kudo Shinichi in the room panicked for a while, and then Kudo Shinichi got smaller and quickly hid, and Dr. Akasa immediately hurriedly helped him hide. Dr. Lee, so it's you. Where's Shinichi? Shaolin asked after seeing Dr. Lee. It turned out to be Shaolin. Well, Shinichi isn't here. Dr. A. Lee had a cold sweat on his forehead. Bump. What kind of sound is this? Shaolin looked strange. Chen and the others walked over to take a look and saw the child sitting on the ground. Hey, who is this kid? Could it be Kudo Shinichi's illegitimate child? Sonoko looked like 8 trigrams. After looking at the child, I found that this guy looks a lot like Kudo Shinichi, almost exactly the same. Kudo Shinichi wanted to beat someone, but Sonoko was dead, and actually framed him. How could Kudo Shinichi have such a big illegitimate child? In my opinion, this is Kudo Shinichi's father's illegitimate child, Chen said. Originally, when Kudo Shinichi heard Chen's first half sentence, he wanted to give Chen a thumbs up, but after hearing what he said later, Kudo Shinichi was so angry that he wanted to hit someone. Shaolin looked at Kudo Shinichi suspiciously. She really looked like Kudo Shinichi. Could it really be Shinichi's father's illegitimate child? This is my distant relative. Dr. Lee said quickly. Dr. Lee's distant relative, what's his name? Shaolin asked. Dr. A. Lee's forehead was sweating again, and he quickly looked at Kudo Shinichi, asking him to quickly think of a name. In Kudo Shinichi's heart, he was also scratching his head anxiously, asking him to think of a name in a short time, but he didn't know what name to use. The impatient Kudo Shin glanced at a book and saw a book of Edogawa Ranbu, and his eyes immediately lit up. Conan, my name is Edogawa Conan. Edogawa Ranbu, Arthur Conan Doyle, the name is really talented. Chen looked at Conan jokingly. When the names of the two characters are combined, they become one name. Conan was seen sweating coldly, and quickly said, because my surname happens to be Edogawa, and my parents prefer mystery novels, so they gave me such a name. By the way, you said your name is Conan. Are you the most famous little pervert in the neighborhood, Conan who specializes in molesting little girls? Chen looked at Conan with a smirk. What, this kid is a pervert? Sonoko immediately took 2 steps back. Shaolin also looked at Conan vigilantly. Conan's face darkened. This guy actually smeared himself. No, Conan woke up suddenly. Could it be that his identity was discovered, and the other party was deliberately teasing him? Conan's eyes stared at Chen, looking at the smile on his face. He couldn't see anything at all. That Shaolin, you also know that I am a big man who lives alone and can't take care of others. Conan is boarding with me by a distant relative, and I can't take care of him well. Can I let him stay with you? The doctor asked. Conan frowned slightly. Why did Dr. A. Lee do this? He is very dangerous now. If he is discovered and attracts those people from the black organization, I am afraid it will affect the Shaolin family.